That's
what it's
okay.
about.
Okay, well, I'm outside. It's like 90 degrees.
Yo, why they always trying us, bro? Talk about, oh, they want to debate us and shit. You must be joking. Cause these bears you've been poking, boy, they awoken, far from broken, on another level floating. Gotta keep the truth flowing, or you'll be choking, as you quoting all these facts that we've been toting. Because the truth, it's potent, and the globe, it's broken. We are still, ain't no motion. The MellowDome be smoking, so take it back, take it home, hit us up on the phone, cause you don't have to be alone. Welcome to the MellowDome. Flat game, baby.
The world is ours, the world is yours, the earth ain't round, let's open a new door. These ships don't curve, take a closer look. You might be surprised, if you open the book, it might have you shook, it might have you hooked. Balloons up so high, show me the truth, curve like a fish eye. What's the real truth? There's no pictures, it's all Photoshop. You can't have pressure without busting pipes. It don't seem right, it don't seem gravity is fake. Nothing is that strong now. Planes can't fly straight. If the earth is round, it would have to dip. If the earth is round, couldn't see the big dip. If the earth was spinning, balloons wouldn't fly around. They wouldn't fly. We can see too far, we can see it. The earth ain't round. If the earth is round, it would have to dip. If the earth is round, couldn't see the big dip. If the earth is round, it would have to dip. If the earth is round, couldn't see the big dip. Nothing fake here. If you want the facts, open your ears, open your eyes. The world ain't round, it's no surprise. The world ain't round. Elon Musk puts out a tweet, and the whole world takes a ride. Is Dogecoin going to the moon? Will coronavirus ever die? To the moon. Will Bill Gates save the world? Are these lies the new trend? Just another truth. I need proof. I don't want bitches. We all wanna get richer. Just another truth. Which way is right? Which way is wrong? Robin Hood got too much power. Are we ready for a fight? Are we ready for a new world? Let's turn on the light. They wanna keep us in the dark, but our future bright. We don't trust big media. They wanna rob us at night. Just another truth. Let's turn on the light. That's just another truth. We always got the proof. If you want the news, that's just another truth. It's all fake news, the media lies. Everything is fraud, can't believe my eyes. They're trying to build a division. They wanna cloud your vision. I see a hidden agenda. Something is missing. I don't trust the government. The world is twisted. It's a hoax. I see the great. They do the most. They wanna manipulate us so we don't succeed. Just another truth. They wanna lock us up and throw away the keys. Just another truth. Chemicals are toxic. Stop spraying our skies. Bill Gates is not a doctor. Stop spreading these lies. These devils wanna traffic our kids, but we gonna stop them at the red light. They ain't getting off light. Just another truth. If the news is real, we the ones telling it. Lies are fake. We the ones yelling it. Government lies. We telling the truth. If you look to the sky, you will see the proof.
Yeah. Welcome
Yeah.
to home.
What's up, everybody?
We have a special guest in the dome tonight,
That's right.
Cami Knodel.
Guys.
Yeah. Hey, how do you pronounce your screen name?
Well, that's a good question. I started when I made it. I started pronouncing it Ashling, which is the correct pronunciation. Ashling 717. And everybody called me Aisling 717 in America. It was the natural. I used this long before Flat Earth. I used this as a Gmail 20 years ago, 25 years ago even. So I adopted with Aisling 717, and it's now Aisling 717, I guess, officially, even though it didn't start that way.
And
So
is that from another language? Osling? Is that
Ashling? It is. It's from Gaelic.
Gaelic? Nice.
It is from Gaelic, and it is correctly pronounced. So all the people that tell me I'm pronouncing it wrong, I know.
Yeah. Everyone's taking it there, and so it sounds weird, I guess, if you say the official way to say it. Sounds weird to people.
it just, I have somebody else that just wrote in that they think of me as like aisling, like walking down the wedding aisle, the
Yeah.
aisling, and doing the other. Ashling would be correct. Aisling works, and it means a dream vision. It means having a dream in a vision and writing it into poetry. It's a poetry, prophecy, dream is what it means. And I've always been a dreamer. And
Yeah.
it captured me 25 or, long. I always loved the word, the dream vision. It means a dream vision.
Yeah. That's awesome. So do you have roots in Ireland?
No, I have no roots in Ireland. I have roots in Poland. And some in Germany, and I read a lot. I'm attracted to Ireland and read a lot of the Gaelic and Irish material, and a lot of it crosses over.
It's such a great word, and it does capture kind of some of the magic of Ireland. There's just like a lot of, it just seems like dreaming. It's almost like you're in a dream world when you go there, because the greens that you see are like unlike any of the other greens that you've experienced before. It's just so lush when you've
been. I've always wanted to go.
The smells are amazing. There's a lot of people that work off of peat there, so there's a lot of peat moss kind of burning in the air.
I have a lot of peat moss down here in Florida. You don't gotta go to Ireland for that.
Yeah.
But the smell of it. And I read about the greens and the visions, again, just the way that you see things through the mist and how it changes the colors. As nothing is ever the same.
Yeah.
I've read Irish literature since I was a little girl. I mean, since I was very, very young, and have followed it through my whole life. And so I've been there a lot in books. I have never been there in reality.
It's magical. It's magical. I've been there only twice, but both times it's just like you enter kind of a dream state when you're there. And the second time I went happened to be the same weekend that the Pope was coming to Dublin to address the people about like the whole scandal that was going on with the kids and stuff. And it was a really weird time, but it was a time that we happened to get out and explore the countryside, and we went to the Cliffs of Moher, and got to see all kinds of great sites there. The first time I went, we went to Watertown, which is the end point for the transcontinental cable. Do you remember back in the day?
I do.
The cable from, I don't know, I think it might have been New Jersey across
all the way across. Yes.
And it landed in Ireland. And I remember one of the places there had a historic piece of the cable still up on the wall. So you could basically see how it was made and constructed with all the shielding and stuff that went around. But the actual little cable was just a small fragment of it. It was wrapped in about like, that much of shielding. And they stretched that across, like 2,000 miles. They tried to actually, did it come in up north in Canada or so? I forget. They tried to make it as short a path as possible. So it was like Watertown, Ireland to somewhere on the East Coast. It might have been New York, that area. But it's really interesting how they have been stretching these lines across the oceans for so long. They've turned it into pretty much a science. These guys go on out in these boats that have, thousands of miles coiled up on the boats, and they just drop them. And so they've got these big cables that stretch across these massive mountains under the water, and anytime one of these, these things occasionally do get hit, and it's a bad situation if something goes down or stops operating with those things, because that is basically the internet.
That is our satellites. That is everything. And what you're talking about with the routes and doing it, and I should know with all the different things, but I look at so much information, and I honestly concentrate on this area more on the bottom. But those cable routes and the way that they line them, is one of the key pieces of information I've been looking at putting together on the ground maps, and that I was working on probably like 4 or 5 years ago on those pieces of information, because again, the reality of it, and they're communicating, they're putting, it is our satellites now, it's what goes across, it's how we do our tracking, but it's also historical data on again, distances and reality, and something that when I look at doing mapping, I always I try to find reality to map from, things that really happened,
Right.
things that have bills of lading, again, tracking documents and your historical, again, your pieces, things that are practical, not
Yeah.
things that are real.
Yeah, definitely. It's no magic stretching a big long cable. It takes a big investment, and I guess some people that want to, because a lot of all these projects, they get rooted in military, right? Like we got to send these things out so that we could communicate messages to far off lands and stuff like that, and DARPA projects, because they're not cheap, to roll out a big cable like that and be out there, stretching that across. The labor's not cheap, and it's a big expedition, but the they've got them everywhere. They've got these things stretching all of the big oceans, and even if not, there's easy ways to transmit fairly concentrated data across a radio wave, at this point. That's one of the things that I think was all about the Twin Towers. I think were antennas that got obsoleted with cables and stuff like that. The Twin Towers were up there basically broadcasting around the world, right? They say. And basically, if you get that high up, 1,200 feet in New York, you can stretch everywhere. Even with a ham radio in your house, you can pull in Chinese stations, so
they're doing all that in the Ethernet. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the ether.
Ether.
Let's not get sidetracked.
That's true.
Christian.
No, but it is Ethernet. I don't know. Yes. Keep going. We're not sidetracked.
If you think about it, somewhere in the 80s, 90s, the towers and the radio stuff got kind of surpassed by high-speed fiber optics that went and stretched everywhere. Yep. And so they didn't, I don't think, really need the big, huge transmitters at the top of plus, I think the buildings were totally filled with like asbestos and bad stuff. There are pictures where you could see right through the buildings. So it's unclear as to what exactly was going on in there. But I honestly think there was an antenna from the ground to the top, pointing out the top of those
all
towers.
The way through. Yeah, I remember seeing pictures like that, and half of it, more than the majority of it, you can see right through it, the whole sun.
Yeah. And why, in the media capital of the world, it's you're gonna basically put the biggest transmitting towers that you could in plain sight. You just disguise it as an office building, and I think there are so many of these secrets within our government and Congress and stuff like that. They do all of these things to gain competitive advantage in spaces. They come out with things like GPS systems, but they're really just it's a cover up for what they're really doing, which is setting up.
Well, GPS was like something they already had, right? They just
that was Lorentz. Yeah, it was Lorentz. It was already in existence in the military, and they resold it and repackaged it as satellite technology, but the technology was always there as Lorentz.
Yeah, and super reliable. I mean, honestly, they dotted the whole. They dotted all of America. Remember when they were barnstorming? They were flying planes that were carrying U.S. mail all across the country and stuff like that. They were flying, and they started putting up these beacons, these VORs that were telling you where you were in the sky, and they were perfect as far as precision. You get a lock on with your radio, and you know exactly what angle you are to that thing, and it tells you exactly where you are on the map, you know, and you triangulate with some other things. So they had basic positioning stuff that was working really well. And I believe they just took those big commercial VORs that they had and they made them smaller and they made them fit on like light posts, you know, or electric towers, so that we're completely surrounded by these electronic beacons that make up our GPS system on the ground, you know? That's what I believe.
It's pretty obvious. It's all we have the cell towers. We have everything we need for the triangulation that we need. It's easy for them to call it satellites, and yet our satellites living in Colorado mysteriously quit working in high places in the mountains and places you would never, ever expect a satellite to quit working. And yet, being a Colorado girl,
it's the opposite. Going up,
it's the opposite. Yes,
you would think that you'd be getting closer to the satellites or something like that. But it always seemed like when my cell coverage, you know, my satellite coverage went out, I'd look, and my cell coverage did the exact same thing, almost at the exact same time, you know. So it's pretty clear, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together what's going on here, especially when you can basically cover up the antenna of these things and still get a signal. You know, how is it that something that's supposed to work on a line of sight could operate inside your house under a table, you know, and still get the signal from a satellite in the troposphere or whatever, the thermosphere of the atmosphere, where it's supposedly 3,500 degrees or something, you know, like a blast furnace. And we've got
where nothing is going to survive at all.
Yeah, and they happen to be sending us like perfectly clear signals, you know.
What do you think about the Starlink stuff going on in the sky?
That's crazy. We should ask Cami what you think those Starlink chains of lights that are going on.
Honestly, I think that a lot of it is just a distraction, first of all, to get us looking and talking about the sky and talking about SpaceX and that. The other probable possibility to me is hologram emitters, because I think that it's time. I think that we're to the part of the plan where it's time for our alien invasion.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the timeline, we've been doing the countdown, and so I think it's time for our alien invasion. And with our alien invasion, we'll need some good holographic technology up there. So the Starlink could be as simple as that. It's certainly not what they say it is. Very much like the other satellites, sir, if you watch it, supposedly they are not lit and they are just reflecting the sun at perfect angles. And yet you'll notice that wherever you're watching it, and as they're going across, they go across as perfect, even lighting, like it's lights hooked on to something in a string of pearls. The functionality, Globebusters would be fun to get on here as far as talking about the different functionalities of the Starlinks. But again, my whole instinct is so much of this is a distraction to get us looking in the other direction and keeping space always in the foremost in the mainstream media, and that just to reinforce the beliefs.
And
we can walk on balls.
Yeah, to get us also to like think about Elon Musk, you know, just like, wow, he's brilliant. Look at what he's got going. Might be a chain of lights on a big airplane that's pulling it across, you know, or something like a.
He is. It's like Elon Musk. He can make cars fly in space. He can make, you know, strings of pearls in the skies. He can do it all. So what does he think about Dogecoin and what are his investments in that? It's part of some programming, and I certainly don't.
Interesting. Maybe
believe it's anything in our benefit.
Maybe it's timed these Starlink events with big things happening in his life or something, you know, to basically get us to think of him so he's front and foremost in our mind when he comes out and says.
There's people out there that worship this guy. I know people that think this is the greatest guy to mankind, and he's gonna solve all these problems, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's interesting. My wife was in a leadership meeting this morning, women in leadership, and she was talking about right before the meeting, she was asked to come up with a female leader that she really admires, right? And it was like, oh, you know what everyone's going to say, right? And she gets into the meeting, and of course, everyone just rips down the list of fake puppets that are the female leaders that she, that they worship, right? You know, the Oprahs.
Please don't tell me, Oprah and Hillary, no.
Hillary,
no.
Elizabeth Warren, RGB.
Oh my God.
Michelle Obama, and I said to my wife, I was like, oh, it's crazy, but it's it's so predictable what they're gonna say. And I told my wife, well, we got this woman that's coming on our show tonight, and she's like a hero of mine. And let me tell you a little bit about what she looks into, and it was like so different from like what the rest of the world thinks is our admirable qualities in
right.
In it just is. It's so awesome to have you on the show, Cami. And
it is.
Thank you.
Are definitely a leader in this community and in pushing on research with all the stuff that you guys contribute as far as like real science towards what's going on in the skies and so forth. It's just so admirable. So it's great having you on.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be in a community where it doesn't matter that, today it was nice. I took a shower and I feel okay like this. But even I'm a person here at the events and that you get tired. It's nice to be with a group of people that they like you and they embrace you for the right reasons. It used to be that the it girl was somebody that you liked without her sexuality. And our society has really changed so that the only thing you care about is like how low you can cut something, how sexy you can be, what's material, what kind of bling are you wearing. And why I think it's nice to be clean and well presented and everything. The emphasis on women in our society right now is sick, and it didn't always used to be this way. I mean, this is very, very recent. I've been going back and watching old TV, so I'm watching TV from the 1950s, and I'm watching, for instance, What's Your Line? I recommend everybody go back and watch the 1950s of What's My Line with Dorothy Kilgaren and Arlene. What is Arlene's last name? The women are brilliant. They ask the good questions. What's My Line is interesting just because of the fact that they bring on different people that have different careers. Like today, I watched one where a woman that was a bricklayer. But these women there are women and men throughout there. What you do is it's a question panel, and this all-star panel gets to, somebody writes their name on, and do you have a profession, or do you a service? Do you sell something? They get a few little clues on it. They get to ask them wonderful questions on what they do. But watching the careers of these people in the 50s and watch how the people talk and how intelligent and the diversity of it. And again, all of it's going back, we have not progressed. Our technology, we're looking at a box right now, but we have not progressed. These people were bright, they were sharper, they were more on top of it. I really think looking, again, and thinking back to the schools, you can't help but think of all of the fun stuff that we're putting into our systems now that's not helping us at all, and is done
the past like
very
70
cruelly.
years has been a really big downfall. Like this technology that they say advanced us, I feel like has really crutched us on a lot of levels, like learning wise. And I mean, just reading people's, like how they used to write letters to one another and how they knew how to, the header and just everything, and in handwriting and cursive, like that's not done today anymore. People, just simple things. Everything's shallow now. Nothing. There's no depth.
That's exactly right.
Anybody.
And what it is with the depth is it's in a wrong way. It used to be that we knew how things worked, we understood how things worked, and we put it together and we built it. What they did right now is they've made these infrastructures where people are so compartmentalized that nobody knows exactly how. Again, it's a challenge for everybody. Go out and look around your house and see what could you build or replicate. What could you, a refrigerator? Do you know how a refrigerator works? Do you know how a microwave works? Could you build a microwave? Could you build, what could you really look around you, build function and know how it really works? Could you build it from scratch? Do you understand how the wiring works? Do you understand the gold in the wire, how it's mined, and that it even grows naturally as a wire called electrum sometimes, but we mine it in different things and alloy it together? Do you understand that everything, we're a closed system, everything that we have was already here before we reassembled it, melted it, and played chemistry and alchemy with it? We have contributed nothing. We have brought nothing into this world that was not already here other than ourselves. We have reconfigured things, but we take the minerals, and now we teach, instead of teaching children on how rocks grow or what they do or how to look at them. I saw a National Geographic kit on how crystals grow, and it had kids taking plastic and pouring it into mold to get plastic molds of different crystals. Yeah. And this is how they're teaching children that crystals grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't know me well, you'll know one of my passions is crystals, and crystals grow like people grow, like plants grow, minerals grow, the elements come together, yes, and they grow in beauty. When it's like a single element growing in perfection or whatever you'll call it, a crystal.
It's not a Jello mold.
It's not a Jello mold. They grow in these are, none of these are cut, none of these are fortified in any way. This is how they came out of the ground. They grow in sacred geometry. You can watch them grow. We're going to be watching them grow soon on my channel because I just got a little microscope set up and camera set up that we're going to grow crystals from babies, so you can see as you see the material or that. In other words, and to do that, you need the right elements and the right temperature change. And again, temperature is such a huge coefficient with crystal growing, or coefficient with it, meaning that so many things happen at a changing. So, for instance, if you have, did you go and see Giant's Causeway when you were in Ireland?
We didn't go to that one. There was a lot of talk, and it's beautiful with those. What are
basalt pillars?
Hexagons.
Yes, perfect hexagons. They're basalt pillars.
Yeah.
So if we brought up, I don't know if we show her that, but we could do that. But on the basalt pillars, what that is usually, it's usually from volcanoes and that. And think of this, that if a volcano goes off and it cools very rapidly around it, you have lava and you have lava flows, and it's rapid, it's amorphous because it just like glass, you know, I mean, it's just like an ice cube. It's like throwing an ice cube in your freezer, and it's going to flow into the container, and it's going to take that shape and bubble out around it.
Yeah.
But let's say that you kept it hot a little bit longer, where it didn't get to cool as quickly, and it was in its realm of growth. It was in its growth zone.
Yeah.
Those chemicals, they grow, they form, they crystallize. They made those perfect basalt pillars. It's the same material as your lava. One just stayed at the right temperature and had a longer, it was in the nursery longer. It got to grow up, and everything had a chance, had time to organize. That's all it is time to organize. Why? At the right temperature and at the right conditions.
And they perfectly organize into these hexagon pillars. What's it called again?
Giant's Causeway. Go ahead and pull it up.
Giant's Causeway. If you can pull that up, in Ireland, it's just.
But this tells you that area was hot. It stayed hot for a long time there. It's how things work in reality.
What you were saying about the crystal kits and stuff like that, it's amazing how they have completely hijacked science and packaged it into these, ridiculous lies as experiments that they're handing out to kids, And, you know, if it's not one of those kinds of fake things about, you know, crystal development, it's something about the solar system and, you know, how water forms on Venus or whatever, you know, and it's again, they're just like packaging lies and making a mythology to fill the heads of these kids, you know. Look at these things.
Click into any
like
of them. These are amazing. Yeah, this is how they grow.
Look at that.
Can you see
how
that?
does nature just form a perfect, you know, it's like a honeycomb.
It does all of the time all around you. Even if you pick up a piece of granite and take a microscope to it, you'll see everything is perfectly crystalline. This is natural. This is how the world works. This is how things grow. If they have time and they can organize, they crystallize. It happens everywhere, all around you. It never, like plants, like people, we were lied to. We were told that this all happened and it's over with. It's happening every day around you. Fossils do not take thousands of years to fossilize. We do it in laboratory in 3 to 7 days, by the way, but in nature, in 2 years, things can start to fossilize, and they can completely fossilize. In 7 years, some things can take longer. Some things can take 20 years to completely do this. But what that is the elements pretty much putrefying, having the elements becoming available and the temperature right for it to crystallize and regrow into a rock. In other words, the rock replaces it out of the putrefied. It's not going, when people think about things getting petrified, they think getting turned into stone, like zapped and you're turned into stone. It's not like that. The material itself, it happens especially around water. It dissolves, it turns into like a miasma, a messy miasma, and from that at the right temperature, crystals grow out of it.
So the Earth is like a giant crystal. Then,
yes, it is.
right?
Yes, it is. And different deposits are, of course, in different areas. You hit huge things that when we talk about magnetite and magnets and lodestones and that, magnetite is one of the most abundant materials on this earth. It is not a rare material at all, but there are high concentrations of it. I know I found some in Banff, personally, and that's an amazing place when you're in an area that has the high concentrations of it. So Banff up in Canada, but of course there are in Greenland, in Antarctica. It shows on the map, and all in that circle. They even mark so much of it as magnetite in deposits because they can't get away from it the way that it will show up on graphs. Scientists are not evil. They are recording reality and are putting it down and trying to do it. What happened really is they were given such a complicated model to fix it to, that they've lost their mind going down the rabbit hole because they played with this. They played with humanity. Are you guys familiar with like Piaget cognitive skills?
No.
Do you want to go down a weird area?
I probably
wherever.
Yeah,
this is MellowDome. It goes wherever it goes.
If I send you a video, can you play it?
Yeah, cognitive skills sounds great. And
okay, because this is how the trick is done.
Yeah. You were talking also about the scientists, and a lot of them get into work that is financed by nefarious organizations, and it's like they're serving someone to come up with certain results. So some people might be trying to stretch the results and fudging things to fit a model, but some people might go in with ill intent. I think some scientists, they know exactly what results they're supposed to come up with before they even go on the expedition or whatever,
Well, and I can pull that up too. It will take me off of there, and I don't think I will. I think I'll just give you the gist of it. But if you look into Science Today in the papers, they'll say that articles that are cited more, or articles that are not true, are cited more in science than articles that can be repeated and are scientifically accurate.
Yeah.
So because media looks for the headline and looks for the things, but they said that they have this huge problem in scientific papers that the ones that have any type of repeatability are not what is cited and do not get the attention because, again, it's built up as a think about people. It's a capitalist venture right now in science. It's in order to get your grant, you have to be doing the right. Sorry, you have to be doing the work that they want you to do, else you're not going to get funded. They have pretty much locked the system, and they have made it that again, you're compartmentalized and not looking at things. And they start you off with this, and I'm going to drop this into the chat. I found it. Copy. Let's find you on StreamYard.
Cami, I read something that something like 70% of all the big experiments that that scientists do these days are unrepeatable. So all of these senior theses and stuff like that, if you actually get a hold of what they did in their master's thesis or PhD thesis, and you try to repeat what they did, 70% of the time it's impossible to even repeat the experiment again. And
that is correct.
I've had actual scientists tell me that sounds about right. And it's like, whoa, how can you actually be committing your life to a field where 70% could be complete horseshit, you know?
Okay, this is why when they talk about us being an anti-science community, this is what gets me so, we'll have you play that in a second. This is why it gets me so frustrated is I think this community realistically believes in science more than anyone. It's just been skewed the other way. Now, if you can play this video, this is going to be some of the clue on how this is done. What you're watching is something called Piaget conservation tasks. And this is a skill that some people, and I think most of the people in this community, may have been born with it and we didn't develop it, but it is a skill that's developed in over 80% of the population. Some people never developed it. Some people were born with it. But on a whole, it's not something born with it. It's something developed. And it's very important that they do their baseline before you develop your Piaget conservation tasks. I want you to watch the video carefully and then think about when you were programmed with the ball and everything. And it will start to come into play on why. And you will also see how some people will not develop these conservation tasks. I mean, I fully believe there are many people out there that, again, cannot grasp this. But go ahead and play this with sound if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fair use to do this.
2 rows of quarters.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
All right. Just start over real quick.
So I'm going to make 2 rows of quarters. Okay. Does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more quarters, or are they the same?
The same.
The same? Okay, now watch. Now, does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more quarters, or are they the same?
That one has more quarters.
That one has more quarters?
Yeah.
Why does that one have more quarters?
Because it's stretched out.
Because it's stretched out?
Yes.
Okay, so how many are in this row?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, how many are in this row?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So, are there more in this row, or are they the same?
The same.
The same?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have 2 sticks. Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer, or are they the same?
The same.
The same? What about now? Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer, or are they the same?
That stick is longer.
The stick is longer?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because you moved it over.
So now it's longer.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me. I'm going to pour blue water into each of these cups, and you're going to have to tell me when they have the same amount, okay? Okay, tell me when this one is the same.
The same.
The same? Those 2 are the same now?
Yeah.
Okay. The same. Good.
The way that's the same.
Good. Okay, now watch this. We're going to take the blue water from this glass. We're going to pour it into this glass. Now, does this glass have more water? Does this glass have more water, or are they the same?
Has more water.
This one has more water?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because that one's higher than that one.
That one's higher than that one, right? Can you tell me, does this ball have more Play-Doh? Does this ball have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
That one had more Play-Doh.
That one has more?
Yeah.
Let's try and make them the same. Make them into two of the same size. What about now?
They're the same.
They're the same now?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch. Now, does this one have more Play-Doh? Does this one have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
That one has more Play-Doh.
That one has more Play-Doh? Can you tell me why?
You smushed that one.
Because that one's smushed. How about now? Does this one have more Play-Doh? Does this one have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
The same.
Now they're the same. Why are they the same?
You roll that one back up.
Okay, great.
My favorite.
Okay. Did we share the graham crackers fair? Is this fair?
Yes.
Yes? Can you tell me why it's fair?
You have one and I do.
I have one.
You have two and I have one.
Is that fair?
No.
No? How about now?
Now that's fair.
Now that's fair. Why is that fair?
You have two and I have two.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, that's called that's known as like the cognitive skills. One of the things that you teach young children on. And this was not a stupid child, by the way. This was a very bright child. It's a skill set that does not develop until a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Now, when
I'm gonna do that with my son. I'm gonna see how that works out.
My son never had these, by the way. I could never break the graham cracker and get away with it with my son.
I don't think I can either.
They say well over 80%. This is a typical. In other words, with typical, it's well over 80% of the people. So this is typical. I think in our flat Earth, you also say with people in the community, why can some people get this and why can some people not? I think it's really important that we understand that people have different skills and brains work differently. We were talking about something like called phantasism, something my husband has that he does not. For instance, I am a very, very visual thinker. Everything gets processed in visually. Things come to me as pictures, and then I turn them into words. My husband is, if he's thinking of something, he does not create the picture in his mind. He does not see the picture in his mind. It will never come to his mind. It makes him an extremely good radio and talker as far as coherent, because think about how much easier it would be for you to explain things if you didn't get, I think about it, it's like, wow, would it be so much easier to talk if I didn't get lost in the pictures in my head and trying to think of the right words to describe the pictures. So you have people, a video I was watching about twins yesterday, not earlier today, a pair of twins, they remember everything. They're considered autistic, and now they're considered autistic savants, but they grew up with people thinking that they're retarded or not functional. But you can say in 1974, Wednesday, May 12th, 1974, what did you have for lunch? And they would tell you what they had for lunch. What were you wearing? I was wearing this. They remember everything.
That's such an amazing skill.
And yet a burden and a skill.
Yeah. I saw a show that had a group of those people being interviewed, and they were just talking about what it's like living with that. And I think one or two of the people on the panel was like a famous actress, and just every single time they made a show, she remembers all the details from all the shows and everything like that, which leads me to believe, honestly, that the memories are not necessarily inside of our skull, but they're somewhere out there, and we're tapping into them.
I am a firm believer that like our body operates as we have pieces of here and we can store and do a little things here, but the dreams that I get alone, again, where are they coming from? Where dreams, may go, and that there's information that's coming, people thinking the same thing at the same time, the synchronicity is happening, and people waking up. I think there's an antenna quality and how well you hone in your antenna and choices to be make. What frequency do you want to tune into? And I think what frequency you choose to tune into has a huge impact on everything.
Yeah.
It's like you get onto the frequency and then you get the message, just like the radio waves. It's like the way the actual music is not the wave. The music is actually carried on the wave. Like the frequency is 98.7. Now, within that wave is your music floating on top of that. But
in the beginning, there was the word, and it was
yeah.
Ooh. In the beginning was the word, and it was This is interesting. Again, can you bring up the word definition of gamut? G-A-M-U-T on your screen.
Gamut or gambit?
Gamut. G-A-M-U-T.
I know a gambit is like a lie that is used as a way to get an advantage on someone. Like a gambit in chess is a lie. I mean, a move at the beginning. But if there's a truth that one person knows the truth about something, and the other person's believing a lie, the person that knows the truth always has the advantage. Because, the person believing in a lie, is at a big disadvantage because they don't know the truth of this situation. So, like, if they ever had to, let's say, survive on their own, the one that knows the truth knows how the world really operates. The one that fell for all the lies basically is clueless. Like, they just have.
You don't know where you are. You don't know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That is, I wonder if you're going to come from some of the base. The base word of this is gamma and ut. And if we go, does this have archaic in it? Does it have etymology and archaic in it? You may have to go do another definition, or I can bring it up. If you go to the archaic and the medieval, what's interesting about this word is gamma ut, even. It starts medievally and archaically. It has a starting point. It starts at base G, which is the lowest frequency a human ear can hear. In the beginning was the word, and the very first sound you can hear is base G. So I'm going to maybe send you a nice version of gamma. A definition of it might help you a little bit. It usually comes right up on me, but in the beginning was the word, but the word, this is just dictionary and gamut, bringing it up.
Cami, what do you know about the Schumann resonance? Is that something that you can tell us about, or do you?
I can.
Operate?
I can. I do want you to go on gamut and stay there a minute. Oops, let me look at the screen.
Sorry.
Oops, where are you?
Is the golden ratio? Is that the same thing as the Schumann resonance? Or they have relation to one another?
The Schumann resonance is more of a heartbeat. It's the Schumann resonance is the background beat noise or heartbeat, and I think that's caused by the magnetics. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Winter. It would be a long explanation to go into the Schumann resonance, but Dan Winter would cover that work pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So the gamut, did you find anything?
I did. Let me bring something I can.
while you're doing that, I've got a quick story. The back in the day, it might have been in the 80s, I remember two scientists, two guys that worked on radio stuff for Bell Labs. They got, I believe, the Nobel Prize for coming up with discovering a persistent sound in their equipment at like 4 hertz, something like that, really, really low. And no matter what they did, they couldn't trace the source of this 4 hertz sound that was always being picked up by their really sensitive equipment. And they managed to conclude that it's residual noise from the Big Bang.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
and they got the Nobel Prize for that.
right. So this is what's wrong with science. This is really what's wrong with science, and where they're going is that they're calling stuff like this science. And then, by the way, along with what I was telling you about the science articles being, again, the ones being repeatable, not being the ones being cited.
Yeah.
They also have a big push that science is deciding that people aren't believing in science enough, and that it should really be in charge of making all of the health decisions and the space and the different science believes that they are the most qualified, and now anybody not bowing to science as their god is a conspiracy theorist, because they're not like taking, because science is so reliable. But they are also really pushing for more power with it. So like I said, what they're getting as far as with the medical misinformation being seeded from Facebook and everything, they're going to, and they're working on it. They're writing it behind the scenes in the articles. They're looking for any type of information that might be scientifically inaccurate to purchase of what they don't want us to look at as truth, when the science is so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, science right now for me in my head is like this dark practice, where it's like you're using all of these basic spells that have been passed on to you in a book of lies, like here's all the math behind these things like gravity and stuff, and you whip it up into all kinds of new things. And to me, it's just like it's a very dark art, science these days, mainstream science, that is. And it's, I know a bunch of people because I went to an engineering science college that are in the science field now. And a lot of them are very dark people, that very godless, very, they're basically practicing spells with the stuff that they have, and they're just believing completely in all the stuff that's been handed to them, and they can't realize that they're being used as puppets in any way, or they've been horribly compartmentalized in their careers. And it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, when I look at someone my age, 52, that is in science, and how much of their life has been wasted on bunk,
Yeah, on Fantasyland stuff.
Fantasyland, yeah. It's like almost like if I were a Star Trek junkie and my whole life was just like learning how to speak Star Trek or something, It's like,
speaking, was it Cleon?
Klingon, yeah.
To me, in my opinion, this was very, very, very much done by design. You guys don't know, I did grow up Catholic. I grew up a Catholic girl in a big Catholic family. And I will tell you, like the Catholics, like any of the groups, the Jews, the Muslims, all of the groups, they are not bad groups. There are never bad groups. There are bad people. Everybody within each group, you can have some bad people that make bad choices. But overall, your groups are very good. Catholics are told to be nice to each other, to help one another, to have lots of children, not to do abortions, to do community services and things like that. There's not, and that you should go to the priest, of course, and have him interpret anything and forgive you for your sins. So they do. They take the Christian, but they break the personal relationship with dad, which to me is a sin. But what was done underneath it, underneath it, and you'll find that this is all done by people high up in the church, was what I'll call the Catholic with a small c. If you look up the word Catholic with a small c, you'll see that it directly translates to the word universal. At the same time that the Catholics were like basically doing the Christian religion and removing the personal emphasis and relationship with God, which again the other Christian religions fought against and branched off into their other religions. At the same time they were doing this, they were installing in every church, in every business, in every society, the universal model, the model of the sun and moon being us being on a round, flying, spinning ball, flying through space. They connected that. They went to China. They went to Japan. They went, pretty much throughout the world and spread the word, the Jesuits. This is who instigated and started it under. So I think that there's a Catholic religion that I'm not so fond of in the way there, though I do say that again, growing up as a Catholic and going to church, and that there was not the, I mean, I never had any terrible experience or anything like that at church, or nothing weird going on. It was, again, something that you had to go on Sundays as a kid. And again, I'm a little bit older than, I'm going to be 57, so a little bit older than you, but again, where your parents were still trying to, bring you to church on Sundays and do the different things like that. But I do think that the Catholic with the small c was the much more devastating. What they did was they spread it worldwide. So they created what I would call the science religion, the Catholic with the small c, the universal religion, that no matter what religion you're in, no matter if you're Jewish, if you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, if you're whatever you are, you can't really look at that model and think of a small personal God. They corrupted God for everybody with the universal. I mean, just that, by introducing the model that everything was so far away and that there's millions of words and you're not special and nothing is about you and you're a speck of dust. They created
never expanding universe, speck on a speck.
A speck on a speck.
Towards a black hole, right?
And the black hole, so and again, the black hole and the gravity. So whatever religion, no matter how devout you want to be, your mind is still conflicted with this. I'm a speck. If I trust,
you can still get wiped out by reality.
And they're telling me, they're telling me that my book is just a book of stories and their book is what really happens. And yet they're mixing what really happens. They're mixing things like what really happened with stories of the Big Bang and space-time and lights being, so unbelievably, again, they've mixed and matched reality and fantasy so much together and intertwined it, and then gave themselves credibility by intertwining. I'm sorry, doing chemistry is not the same as determining how many light years something is away. And
right.
I approached
mixing
my mom.
Science with science fiction. It's blended together.
Mm-hmm.
One.
My mom's pretty hardcore Christian, and I approached her with all the flat Earth stuff, non-spherical stuff, and she was definitely triggered, and she sent me back a pastor's talk on how big our God is, and I turned it on. She wanted me to see this as proof that and I was trying to tell her biblically, it all points to a flat Earth. And so she sends me back this sermon, and it starts out with the Hubble pictures, and a big question on the screen that says, how great is our God? Right. And looking at these Hubble pictures, people in the pews were just like awestruck by the pictures, and they're supposed to make that connection with God and go, wow, God is awesome. Look at that. When really it's just like a Photoshop, presentation of Nothing.
It is all, yeah, it is all created just from data sets and artist rendition. Just again, if you look at the blue marble and if they took any care at all, on the blue marble, one of my fascinations is where waters meet water. Put that into your computer search bar and have fun of it, like where the yellow, right, like type where the yellow river meets and let something come up, wherever water meets, where the Pacific, type in where the Pacific Ocean meets the Atlantic, Austin, whoever is driving, wherever water meets water, it changes color. There are reasons we have seas in the middle of our oceans, and the oceans are named different things as they connect. The waters are different. On your blue marble, it's this homogeneous little thing, but all of our rivers, all of our waters go in amazement on it. When you see the Green River, the Yellow River, like all of these little colorful names, the Red Sea, guess what? Yeah. These things, when you look at them, all have colors. Oh, look, we're the ocean.
Yeah,
this is the Atlantic.
Look at the curvature on that shit.
This is the Atlantic and the Pacific meeting together, what I see on my screen. And show me that on the blue marble. This is happening all around you. This is what happens when our waters meet. Show me that on the blue marble and with the artistry. They're not even showing, I mean, they don't even bother. This is a real photograph. They don't bother to say that, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
How could you not?
But don't they say things like, doesn't he say things like, well, where we thought phytoplankton might be, we lightened it up a bit. You know, like we just they're just hitting Control Z, you know, a few times.
Right, for the Phytos Island, but we didn't bother looking. We didn't look at the oceans and see that they are physically. And when we draw the rivers and stuff like that, guess what? I can tell you, Austin, you can do this all day and get lost in where waters meet, because where any type of liquid meets any type of liquid, where the waters meet, and that you can do, where the fluids meet, you can take this up, down, all around, any kind of magic with it. Magic happens. It's beautiful. And you can't tell me, proof of God existence is on that page. They understand.
Yeah.
But again, when they make these
creations all around us, I see. You just got to stop and look. It's all around us.
It is. It's everywhere growing. Rocks are growing all around you. If you go in your backyard and you dig, you can feel trees. If you're by a river, starting to petrify by the roots. Take another rock, touch it. Take a magnet out with you. See how many things that are magnetic. Go out with a UV light at night. And if you're really cold, go out with like a shortwave UV light at night. And we'll do this better when it gets a little bit darker. But
what do you, if you were to take a guess what's happening at those lines where the waters meet, like there's got to be some pretty interesting magic happening at that, because it's a barrier of some sort. And there's got to be some kind of electrons or something moving back and forth between those areas or something. Oh, look at that.
You're gonna have magic happen where this one here, as soon as it gets dark, it's gonna really do it, because I'm going to make this not only light up for you, but it's gonna hold the light and keep glowing. It will get dark here. We're not very far from sundown, and this will be my whole world, my whole office changes at night between the daytime. I have like some videos or that I can show you of things in motion, daytime and nighttime, with things glowing up in that. But take some UV lights, go outside and play. Chlorophyll in your plants fluoresces red. It looks blood red under UV. So if you take a little UV, the right lighting out, your plants will glow red. The ones that are healthy, at least the ones that have mostly the edible ones, the strawberries, and the ones that are edible tend to do that. The ones that are, hi, sweetheart, the grass in that is decorative tends to look gray under the UV light, and I find that very telling. It looks like it has nothing in it, and it really doesn't. You can't eat it.
The thing that was glowing with the light, is that phosphorus? Is that
yes,
phosphorus?
It is.
Okay, so You know, the whole CRT, the way a CRT works, old school TV is a tube
I
that,
have one right here.
and isn't it amazing that people park themselves in front of a tube that was shooting like an electron beam like right at their eyes? But that's what we did, right? You know, like so the whole front of that CRT is phosphorus, and you know, it will glow when it gets electrified, when the electron beam hits it. And that's how you got the initial scanning patterns going across the CRT, because you're moving a beam across a phosphorus screen. And so what I'm wondering is, do you believe that there's phosphorus up in the firmament, and that we have electricity that is making the things like the stars glow, and or the moon? Like, do you think these things are phosphorus things that lose their charge over time? Like, it holds 28 hours worth of charge when it connects up with the sun, and then as it separates from the sun, it's losing its charge like a battery meter, and then it catches back up and it phosphorizes for another 28 days? Or how do you figure phosphorus factors in the macro scale of the universe?
I think it works exactly like it was said in the what was the Book of Enoch. What's going on is I see in the firmament. So when we're going in the firmament, and I don't know those that are familiar with my model, I can bring some like pictures up or give some examples.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But I'll answer your questions and then bring things on there. As far as the moon, because you asked me a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of them. Okay, as far as the
Christian's a man at that. He's the best.
I believe that the sun, the dark sun, I believe that it's the same sun. I believe the sun that we do not see up in the firmament as the dark sun is a UV source. We know it is. It's emanating all kinds of radiation, and that as it comes down and projects down into our atmosphere, it's lighting up.
Right.
Now, it is reacting with our moon, and it is causing our moon. The moon does not look like it's being lit or spotlight lit at all, but it does look exactly like fluorescence does under, when you look at stones and look at fluorescence, without the terminator line, the different pieces. In fact, do you guys want to give me the screen and I can show you some of this?
Yeah.
Before it
go
gets
ahead.
dark? Okay, so I'm going to, give me, you're very patient. Let's see if I can get my screen up over here, and then I'll share it. Let's do this. And let's do...
Because then you also mix in like what might be on the surface of the firmament, but also all of the gases. Once you get up into that layer of the atmosphere, you got stuff that loves to glow in colors.
Of course you do.
Orange and
Let's do
you have all of that.
Quick shout out to the chat while she's pulling that up.
All right.
We got 55 amazing people here watching right now live. So
nice.
Hi everybody. Welcome.
Welcome to the MellowDome. Rod Kidd, my old buddy from California, the Bay Area, is in the house. Rodney, how you doing, bro? Isabella Live 2.0. We had him on the other night. That flat fellow, Tommy, great to see you, bro. Cody Schwinn is here. Awesome.
Hey, man. Derek Lemire.
What's that?
Derek Lemire. Everyone's saying his name wrong.
Lemire from Belvedere in the house.
Steffi P. What's up, Steffi?
Jen True Seeker 69 in the house. Much love, Jen.
All right.
No One's Flower. Great to see you.
Hi, Nora.
Jose.
Nora.
Michelle Waldo. Awesome to see you. Jose Nunez. Great to see you, bro. He's awesome. He just moved to Oregon, and he's taken some pictures up there. It's like magical. The coast of Oregon is amazing.
Shane Taft, thank you. He just gave us a $25 donation. You're the man.
Awesome. Terrestrial Mac. Yeah, thank you so much for the donation. That's also, we're pumping it back into the show.
Yo.
Anything we get, we're pumping into the MellowDome.
For sure.
taking the dome to the limit.
Oops.
All right.
Oops.
You should be able to request to share the screen, and I think I let you.
Steve Finneran's in the house.
I might be.
Karen Ann Preston and Sue Finelli, two of my favorites right there. Great to see you both, ladies.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. You guys are awesome.
Shane Taft is in the house. Steffi P. Oh my gosh. She's looking for me. Evidently, she's trying to get a hold of me.
Yeah, you got to hit her up, man. She's trying to reach you. And as y'all know, you can hear my kids in the background. Y'all gonna have to deal with that. That's life. That's the family life for you.
I like the kids.
My wife holding down the fort. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the kids in the background are awesome. Tobin Schwing in the house. Schwing in. Good to see you, brother.
Fox Bear, what's up, bro?
I love giving the chat a tap.
What's up? What's up?
Ryan Holtman, I haven't seen that name before, but awesome having you here.
Okay.
You're welcome.
You guys are doing great. Okay, I think I'm going to be able to see. Can you see my screen?
Bam. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you have? Okay, you do have this going right there. I thought I had. Let's do.
Sue Finelli, what's up, Sue? Carrie, Karen.
Oh, look at this.
Sally Parks. Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. We'll show you what we're doing in a minute.
I like your nighttime lab.
This is awesome. What happens to my lab. Like these things like to propagate into. I'm hearing something in the background. I don't know if it's me doing it or not, but things like to propagate into. These are little domes sitting on my desk. I'll show you it in the daylight in just a second. We can go back to it. But without even trying, it's really, really easy to get visually things to propagate into a dome. We'll do a mirror scope in a minute. But let's see.
That's a badass table.
That's where I'm sitting in front of me right now, in case you wonder what I'm looking at and reaching over and grabbing things. But do you see the little paperweights on my desk? Do you see how easy it is that, again, they're right there?
Mm-hmm.
If you come right on it, you're going to lose it, but I'm going to get it back. And you'll notice that they're going to be reversed. You'll see they're in reverse, and you'll pick up the spinning and things on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But do you see how easy that is just to pick up the images without even trying?
Yeah.
Quartz ball doesn't do it as well. A half dome works better. But let's do, whoops.
We were talking the other day how easy it is to create the experience of being out in the night sky in a planetarium. You know, when they dim those lights, the way the sun, like the sky looks, they're able to reproduce it exactly to the point that you just like feel like you just kind of slip into the outside, like they opened up the roof of the planetarium and you're now looking at the night sky. So it's pretty good proof from my standpoint that like you can create a very, very realistic experience with a dome and a projector in the center of it.
It's all about mimicking reality. It's funny that all that projects from the center, from the north, from the center and the.
I don't know that it does, but it's certainly.
I've been in one where they projected it from the center up onto the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. I don't know. I don't know.
Very easy to project. Are you guys familiar with the Meriscope at all?
No.
Yes, I
Okay.
am. I played with it at Solar Return.
Excellent for the people that have played with it at Solar Return. Can you bring me on the screen a minute? A Meriscope, I've got a whole bunch of them. I'll pull a little one right here. But before we
Oh, I
show you
love this stuff.
videos, all this is, and my thoughts on this, and I can even pull out a second top. All this is on like thinking and experimenting that biblically the firmament has always been, not only in the Bible, but in all of the texts, described as a layer that was like a vault of looking glass or a fluid river you could cross through. And so I started playing with like the idea of what would happen if you made a vault of looking glass. And if you make a vault of looking glass, you get a natural hologram emitter. I don't know if I can get it to pick up on the thing here, but I will show you in the videos. That's what you were looking at too. But there's something very special about when you create a 3D hologram this way. Let's see if I can get it in the... I can get it for me. It's very weird. I think it... Yeah, in order to get it, I'm going to have to get it a little bit lower than the camera will allow. Right. So you're looking at a hologram right there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It looks like it's floating right there.
It looks like it's floating right there. And again, the thing about creating a hologram this way is it's interesting. You saw how I was projecting things into the domes and that on my desk, effortlessly, that they were doing themselves. Let's play with...
Yeah.
The thing about the Meriscope is it's not only transferring the optics, what you see because of the mirror design, and I have all kinds of PDFs and the data on how it works. It's transferring more the wave functions than the optics, meaning that if I put a piece of ice in the Meriscope, the hologram is cold. If I put something hot in the Meriscope, the hologram is hot. If I put something lit up in the projector, the hologram is lit up. If I take something that's not lit up and expose the hologram to UV, the hologram plays with the UV light itself and lights up. So I'm going to show you a few pictures of a Meriscope, and then I'm going to show it to you in action.
I have a video of it at Solar Return I can bring up if you want.
We'll have you do that too, and put my screen on first, and then we'll have you do that.
Absolutely. Let me, boom, there we go.
Okay, so what you're looking at is this is just a little ball I made out of styrofoam and Play-Doh with UV light on it, which will come into play when we turn off the lights. Oops, that's a picture of it there. This, I think, is going to maybe not be a video. There's going to be a video in here. I might have to open it differently to play it. But you're looking at it. This is with the dome upside down. This will propagate. This will, with the hologram, propagate into domes and propagate through water. With the lights off, it gets pretty. This is it floating in water and making an actual teardrop with the water. It will, if I put a bowl of water on top of the Meriscope, it will propagate into a bowl of water. I've made it do up and down through different layers. And again, it's quite vivid when you turn the lights out.
Wow, that's amazing right there.
And in a minute, if I pull out of it a different way, this is just doing like some of the thermal tests. It's a piece of ice right here. And I have video on this where it will all, again, affect on the videos. These are just pictures I'm randomly going through. This is, again, the art kit put together. I have glow in the dark. I have different pieces in that. There's nothing special that I'm using. Oops, like that video. But if I close out of here, let's see if I can get...
Does this all support the idea that the moonlight is cold?
Yes, this will 100%, 1,000% explain. I am right now, I am taking a pin light on the outside of the Meriscope. I'm taking a UV pin light and I am lighting up the hologram. I am not touching the unit on the inside. I have that little pin light running on the outside. But we'll do it again. I am lighting up the hologram here. Now, fluorescence. What's interesting about fluorescence is fluorescence in nature, which occurs in a good many minerals, and that fluorescence also has a temperature codependent with it, meaning that the colder it is, the stronger the fluorescence is. The hotter it is outside, or the hotter the temperature is, the weaker the fluorescence. If you hit a certain temperature, it has a Curie point. It does have a light switch. It will turn off. So, for instance, I personally believe that when we have our new moon and our moon disappears on the hologram, it is because it's past its Curie point and it's turned off. As it gets further and further away, so your moon, when we do our phases, I'll do your phases is in a minute. We can pop this out. Are you watching it like create and see how the mark on it, you don't have your hot spots?
That is crazy. Look at that.
See your termination line, the way it works?
Wow.
And again, I am playing with the hologram itself, not even with the original object with this.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. So what, so Christian, you played with one of these, right? Like she just did that on a hologram, not on a physical thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is me lighting up the hologram and playing again with the hologram and light. I'm just playing again with the UV and the hologram. If you think of, let's get out of here. We can go back to it. But if we go to our sky, let's go to our sky. Where are our, how can that be possible? I'm in the wrong place. I should have the sun and, I think it's going to be under sun and moon. Hold on. So if you think about your sun and moon cycles, and you think about it, at a new moon, what's happening in time is like this. Every 24 hours, your sun, let's be noon here. Every 24 hours, your sun is going around and coming back, and it's noon again. In that same 24 hours, your moon is traveling around, but it's going a little bit slower. So at the end of the first day, it's fallen back a little bit.
Right.
Here's the second day, it's fallen back to here. The third day is fallen back to here. Are we following it now? Each day it goes along.
Yep.
So after 7 days, we're here. Now let's add temperature and magnetics to this, okay? Are we following?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Magnetics, if you remember on your quantum lock-in in your magnetics also, like fluorescence, have that codependent with temperature. The warmer it is, the weaker the magnetics. So we'll put in our dielectric plane down here, and we'll say that here, when the moon is closest to the sun, it is the hottest. Will everybody agree with that? Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. So in logic thinking, the closer it is or the warmer it is. So as it's there, it's very lowest, and it's actually lower than the sun at this time. We do not see it as once it gets a crescent, once it gets within, they mark the degrees in the Vedic calendars, the 6 degrees and the different markings. We will not see it when it gets at a certain distance to the sun, because the light will turn out with the Curie point. So it's not even a matter of the crescent going away, and it will come back as it gets cooler. But if the spirograph circles fall underneath each other over land, because these are little spirograph circles, in reality, the one that has the sun on it is shaped more like an ellipse, and the one that has the moon on it is shaped much more like an egg, a petal of a flower. If you think of it as the sun is going around, it's making a spiral up and down like that shell you showed me, and it's staying in a circle as it's going up and down. So it's traveling through, think how it's traveling through the tropics in a year's time.
It's like
the moon does a whole cycle in a month. So the moon travels between the entire cycle in a month. And so it makes more of a petal shape. So if you think that you have a petal shape overlaid with a ellipse shape, sometimes you're going to line up those circles and sometimes they're not.
Right.
Does that make, like when you have your loops on a spirograph? When we have our eclipses is when these rings line up. So and then we'll add polarity to it and explain even further on the other ones going on there. So as it falls back, it gets higher. As it gets higher, it picks up from underneath it what you would pick up as from your underneath viewing, that pattern of the crescent on there. In other words, like I was showing you when I did the light moving it higher and lower on a ball, it creates the phases all by itself with altitude. By having the moon lower as it gets higher from underneath, this is what we see. When they are at an equal layer at 7 days, think about it. It's at an equal layer laterally. So from there, you see your half moon.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now you say the position in the sky. What about the position in the sky and the word angle? This is very easy. If you look at where the sun is and where the moon is and follow them in the sky, tint the sky with your apex. In other words, make the apex of the tint right above your head and tint down the sky around you, knowing where they are in the diagram. And doing that, and you'll see that you're seeing the exact angle you should be from your view. I've been doing it every day for 6 years. It lines up every day that it's always exactly how it should look if you look at it in time. So this is your 1 week. Now it's getting colder. As it's getting colder, the fluorescence is getting brighter. Brighter still. As it's getting brighter still, it's rising. At its full moon, it's not only at its highest position in the sky, it's at its very, very coldest. It's furthest from the sun. So it is freezing here. It is very cold. The fluorescence is therefore at its very brightest. As it starts to circle back towards the sun, it loses altitude because it's getting warmer. As it loses altitude, you change what position you see of it in the sun. And again, you can model this. I make this happen above people's head. I lay them on the floor. This happens in reality. You see the phases exactly like you should. As it comes down to this phase here, it's equal again. You have your half moon. It's going to start to fall. As it gets lower, it gets dimmer. And as you get close to your new moon, you shut down again. New moon, the fluorescence is shut off entirely, which is why you don't see it. Now you're looking at a hologram of it, so there's no, when I say, do you think during an eclipse, and people are arguing whether or not it's the moon, I can take it both ways because I think it kind of isn't. I think what we're seeing from down here is these have fields of polarity. So when you see me doing Faraday effect, or do you know what I'm talking about? The fields crossing polarized wise?
Yeah.
That also plays into the mix. So you get the total darkness, and that's why it's an aligned patch as opposed to taking everything out.
Right. Like the polarizing filters in front of your when you were doing those experiments with the polarizing filters in front of the
sun thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm doing it on me. I don't know if you see me on camera, but I'm taking 2 polarized filters. Now you see me. Now you don't. Everything has polarity and has a change in the magnetic field. When you work with polarized light, it's a pure light. If I had 2 smaller filters, it would be stronger. This one is bent. But again, you're dealing with also what naturally happens with light in an electromagnetic field, which is called the Faraday effect, and just again, polarity, which electromagnetic fields create polarity.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. In your model there, you're talking about holograms. The experiment that shows the things that are quantum locked on top of a round tabletop, you know, and they're spinning around with 0 friction, and you know, you can get multiple things moving around that round tabletop. And is that what we're looking at here? Are like things that are moving around?
Yes.
The things that are moving around, are they discs or are they holograms in your model?
Okay.
Here?
In my model here, what in the firmament, remember how I showed you a vault of looking glass?
Yeah.
That holographed in there? In my model, there is a vault of looking glass that is filled with fluid that would have your sun and moon and wandering stars and what you would think of asteroid belts in that in the vault, in that layer.
Right.
Now, they would be holographing down into our atmosphere. So you're seeing the hologram of reality. In other words, the reality is just a layer above. But people ask about the shapes, and is it flat? Is it rounded? Is it disc? I'm very opinionated on this one because I look for reality. The phases create themselves in perfection if I use a round. Now, the very top part of it, to tell you the truth, because we don't see the top portion of it, would not really matter because of what we see from the ground. So the very top third of it could be like flattened off or that. But what we see from the bottom is really the projection of something that is round or spherical. I believe the moon, I believe really the moon is spherical, and I believe it's spherical because if it's spherical, it creates the phases perfectly in time all by itself.
Now, people have talked about anode and cathode and electricity going between them. Like, do you see them as that way? Like a round anode that's moving around and a round cathode.
I don't know if I know enough about the batteries and that to do it the way I picture them, though. So I could be getting the names wrong, but I also have which you're not looking at, I have a magnetic field here. I have a dipole here. I have a dipole on this side, and I have a quadrupole in the center. So if you think of the magnetic patterns of where they would bounce between the magnetic, I feel that they're part of the series reacting that that same layer that you've built up. Let me see if I can give you a different picture. But in other words, I see them in play between the magnetic field spinning, bouncing. In other words, it comes out to here. If you think of a dipole or a pillar here, in other words, the magnetics of it, and the way I read the magnetics, it's hitting a field before it's spinning back in, hitting a field, which again is spinning back out. It's bounced between in perpetual motion as it's spiraling up and down. So to me, that I see the anode and cathode probably more as the pillars or different parts of it. I can't seem to put them in with the lighting. I see this as our lighting, and I see it as our the sun. I think it's radiation, electromagnetic. It produces a lot of effects that interact with the Earth itself, the Earth, in a way that if you think that we have a heartbeat, an electromagnetic field here, and the sun does. Dr. Kim Young-sun, I believe, did research. He's fascinating. He's one of the people doing with Ben Davidson, who hates flat earthers too, but should get with the picture. He's been doing work for a long time correlating earthquakes with sunspots and wondering, how the two are correlated.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been confusing him because there is a correlation, but it seems that what the Earth is doing is affecting the sun instead of the other way around. The sun is reacting to the Earth as opposed to the Earth reacting to the sun. And if you think of how ridiculous that would be in their global model, they have to keep on going back and trying to refigure what's going on because it's working backwards on them. And in fact, when it hits over certain spots of our Earth pattern, is going to react. Just like if you watch space weather and if you watch it and listen to it, it's hysterical. Because they'll talk about the sunspots and they'll say how the sun almost seems to know when the spots are pointing away from Earth. And it's like, why, yes. It does know. It's not crazy. It does. It's like they scratch their heads and can't figure it out. And it's like, it does seem to know that. But it's a connected system.
Yeah.
And again, I see it as a battery, the salt water, all the pieces are there, the minerals you grow into place, even the wires. Like I believe on the outside, going around the boundary is an electrical wire, which I would call a degaussing line, which would explain perfectly why all of our compasses point to the center. But that is something that's grown in nature. If you look up the element electrum, it grows with vibration. Go back to the word gamut. In the beginning was the word gamut. Gamma-et starts the very, very first sound human ear can hear, and it runs the entire spectrum. It runs the overlapping chord notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, your hexachords going into your entire music spectrum, and then into your entire visual, your ultraviolet, your radiation. It follows that exact same repeating resonance pattern, taking from your longitudinal to your transverse waves, imperfection on it. So it's the gamut is, to me, it's the G on the Mason board, by the way. It tells you exactly, it's your building block. It tells you start with the lowest note that you can hear, because in the beginning was the word. But the word is, we can't hear God's voice because God's voice is the gamut. It is all of the radiation, the alpha, the omega, the gamma waves, along with the audio waves, and it would kill us in our flesh. It would melt us in our flesh.
Yeah.
So the gamut is gamma at, it is the beginning, the end. It is the entire spectrum. And to me, I also, when looking at occult symbology or anything, it is the G on the Mason board, because it is the Mason board, your two pillars that create your stairway, your two pillars that create your stairway, being the magnetics.
This is really fascinating stuff.
If you take your two pillars,
dude, I love it.
yeah, if you take your two pillars, these are two pillars. If you take in occult symbology,
I accidentally, sorry.
That's all right. If you take the word pillar off of all of your symbology, off of in all of your occult knowledge, and insert the word dipole, pillar, dipole. I happen to have dipoles that are pillars, or in other words, all the dipole or a pillar magnet is you're taking and culminating everything in perfection. You're running electricity through it, so everything runs in perfect alignment. It's just perfect culmination. That's all it is. Magnetics are, again, people confuse them, they make them hard. Think of it as, and she did it well, again, think of the water running down your drain, going through the other side, and reciprocal drains flowing up and into each other, right? It's a flow. This is the Pharaoh pattern that you're picking up. Remember, we talked on screen beforehand under the Pharaoh cell. This is a Pharaoh pattern. This is the iron pattern. This is the same pattern I would get. You see it in 3D here, but if I'd lay it out, put a piece of paper and sprinkled iron filings, I would see this. When we look at our declination map and pay attention to your quadruples here, which is created by nothing but the two pillars. There is nothing there. It's your perfect quadrupole or your counter space.
So what we were just looking at essentially would be over, like that would be the top view, right? Okay.
Controlling the motions of the moon and the sun. Correct?
Yeah. Right. And if you looked at it too, again, put your magnets, your dipoles there, your quadrupole here. Again, your shell that you're talking about, watch this line. You guys might recognize this as a Sephiroth. You could also look at it as a magnetic pattern because it's what builds itself together. If you take two dipoles, if you take two things, they're going to build this pattern. But let's look at the pattern carefully on it. And again, if you build it up, think of this as your North Pole. Think of this as your two South Poles or dipoles I showed you on the magnetic map. And I can go back to the magnetic map and put them and better that, but put them on the map here. And I'll show you another way that makes it easier. But your sun and moon that are up here, dark sun and moon, look at the path that they follow magnetically. They come out and then they come in closer and they do it and they bounce between that field and this field. But they will, that shell that you're talking about and showing me, they'll do it. The way I think that we see it is I think that we see above our North Pole our sun and moon here. But I also believe that you're getting a rotation and you're getting a mirroring, because remember, all of this is mirrors. They're getting a rotation here and a rotation here. How that works out in something you might want to easier recognize is Where am I going to have that? Oops. I don't want that one. I want this one. So if you looked at, remember, this is nothing more but our declination map right here. This is the declination map that we fly by, if you recognize it. We have a quadrupole in the middle. Remember the magnetic pattern I showed you? Your dipole right here.
Yep.
And there's a dipole that's off of the map, but it has to be
Oh,
there.
I love that. I love that right there. That is amazing right there. Like, I love how you put that together.
It can't not be there. In other words, your red and your blues magnetically don't not come together. So if you did that and pulled that down or whatever and did it, but on there, we can say land-wise, this is how the land would lay out your Australia, your pole there. Remember, you're off of the charts, your land going off of the charts. This, by the way, accounts for every, we're doing it nicer, but it accounts for every longitude and latitude line on their GPS, and you can actually travel and run the cable routes via this. It's not bad. We're going to get you closer. But again, it lays over your quadrupole in the middle. That needs to be a little bit of a different shape. There has to be some tweaking on it. You can tell my artistic skills are lacking.
No, this is great.
But it gives you a good feel of, in other words, it's meant to give you a feel. But the way that you really see it, if you see it, your sun and moon over your North Pole, you see it feeling here, but you also keep in mind magnets, some other things that you don't know. Magnets are really cool. Your dipoles, when we talk about our pillars and our dipoles, they are so cool. Other properties you don't know about is they also, like, I told you they were temperature getting stronger when they're colder and getting weaker when they're hotter. They also start picking up other properties as they get colder. They do things called magnetic mirroring and circling. Your field here, your dipole, is going to circle around it. I believe that this is what's called a dipole circuit or a dipole loop right here. So your star rotations, they are seen, and we're seeing our northern rotation, like they say underneath it. Our skies, they can't hide very well. I have the actual star maps and charts that will line up with the firmament on this, but I believe they see things rise and fall exactly to the south, like they say they do, that it circles around them when you're on the southern hemisphere, because I believe as soon as you get, again, past the equator, you're under a different magnetic influence. So what's going on, Rahu Ketu, you're seeing it as this rotation. This is our center rotation. And this is an actual photograph, by the way, an actual panorama put together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at that, you'll notice it will match.
So that's what they're seeing when they're talking about seeing two different rotations in the southern and then in the northern hemisphere. That's what's really going on there.
Right. And that's what we make it a lot harder than what it really needs to be, because if you think about it, again, there is, let's go back to...
It's crazy how this works on a micro scale to the macro scale. That just... It's mind-blowing to me, I love it.
I love the going back to the CRT, there's a beam of energy that's involved in a CRT that, makes the dot glow on the phosphorus, but the whole thing that is making the image is the magnets that are on the, that are controlling the flow of energy in the thing in a very precise fashion. So like in the heliocentric model, it's basically the sun is hurling through the universe and it's attracting all this stuff with its gravity and everything spinning around it. But in this model, like the sun and the moon are things that are being controlled by these dipoles that very, very similar to a CRT, and the way the energy in a CRT is being managed by magnets that are making the whole thing, you know, making the signal go in a precise pattern. So outside of what we're seeing are magnetic forces that are acting on these things and controlling their motions in the sky. To me, it's like a perfect model, like they've created a perfect model in a way in the CRT tube. I almost think that the CRT and the television might have come about as a byproduct of them basically trying to make a model of the way.
Oh yeah, the CRT tube. Now I just got the visualization in my head the way when you just said that.
I have CRT tube. You've played with it. Anybody played with me at Solar Return? I have a CRT and magnets. You can shift colors with magnets. You can see the patterns on the magnets. I have one. I clicked on it behind me. I think I did the camera on it, and I can even bring up the CRT. But you can see a lot of information about the magnets, like with the parasol.
Yeah.
The plasma on the CRTs let you see and learn a lot about the magnets. So I play with magnets on the CR2, and I let other people with me. I have a degausser on my monitor.
And magnets have memory too, isn't that a part of?
Of course, they do.
And that's pretty amazing. A memory, you know, people are talking about like, oh, if you've got a certain battery thing, you want to kind of change things up because they develop a memory, and batteries retain memory by, you know, the patterns in which you charge and discharge them, and they all start to work together in ways when you treat them certain ways. You know, they hold more of a charge. You can put more electricity into a battery if you cycle it in a certain way, and you start retaining the memory inside the magnets, you know, inside the battery. The other thing, Cami, you mentioned you mentioned compasses before, and I just thought about something. If we always think of a big magnet in the middle that might be pulling the compass, right?
No, that's not right.
Yeah.
But go ahead, it won't work that way.
What if the dome is pushing the magnet away from it, and it basically, wherever you go, the magnet the compass in your hand reflects a flow of energy coming from like the dome, you know, and it's repelling the compass needle that's in your hand, and it basically is pointing towards the middle of where the energy is. Like, in other words, if you're in a dome and you make a sound, you can find the point at which all the energy is focused, right? Because you can audibly find where the sound is landing, and the dome basically focuses all the energy, just like your hologram. It's kind of focusing all the rays at that point. So what I'm wondering is, like, maybe your needle is pointing you away from where the dome is, and you naturally think that it's pointing towards something at the center, but it's really just away from the outside dome that's repelling the needle on the compass, you know?
I hear you. I've like tried a couple things. I didn't go much in that direction because with reality, we do a lot with I mean, our runways are mapped on declination. Everything it fluctuates very little. It's just like a Faro pattern. There were much more practical, easier, in other words, ways that I could touch. I can recreate and make magnets work the way that they work on. Like what you're looking at here is the star map.
Yep.
And if you look at this is not, I mean, this is from, and this gives you all, it creates to your transformations, your ecliptic coordinates and everything, and works. And so like the maps, when looking at it and doing the trifold stars that we were showing on the maps, our mapping in that is done in the transformations and that. As far as the magnetics, really, let's close this and I guess it could happen that way, but it's easier. Let me get a different. There's easier solutions. Pull up this again. So again, if you have a dipole here, a quadrupole, really by looking at our map and by what they're showing us from the government, your compass should be pointing north here, south here, north here. It should be all over the place, and it's not. So even by their magnetic patterns, the way that this pattern works, because again, magnets react to, if it was really a giant magnet in the middle, again, and there was another magnetic mountain at the other end or whatever, I'm pulling it. The magnetics and what they're showing and replicating and doing in reality don't match in reality. So you have to kind of throw that away. If I put a dipole here, and I put a dipole here, and it creates, like you saw in that picture, with nothing, that I don't create the quadrupole there, but it does it. I can't stabilize it a little bit with magnets. I haven't done it big enough to do it, but I will tell you that if you run an electric line across it, everything has to point to south, which would be your north needle, to the counter space in it. It's like I have something. In other words, by degaussing it and having the quadrupole in it, it's an explanation on why it doesn't change, swinging dramatically, and only having, you can even see where your lines of an adjustment and declination would be. Also with your stars in that, and looking at it, if you'll notice, like on your declination maps, they tell you which direction you need to turn to look at your pole. So like when I was in Denver, it was almost straight up here. It's a little bit there. That's where you're going to see your pole rotation, is what your declination is going to give you. This is telling everybody in South America, they need to look out here if they want to see where the pole rotation is. When you're in Africa, guess what? You have to look here. Your question and doing it through the dome is a possibility, and there is a higher layer up on the dome that they're picking up on the magnetics too, but it's not to have the consistencies that we experience. And again, even watching the areas that they're fluctuating, and you can do that by watching where the runways are in that. It's not enough of reality to grasp that for me. I like things I can do and I can scale and I can make real.
Yeah.
And if the dome is, I'm not even quite sure with what the dome is. It's not something, it could be, but I don't think so. Is that it?
No, I mean, that makes sense. In your mind, the dome is not a hard surface, like crystalline structure or glass of any sort?
Okay. In my mind, we're going to have, and again, I don't have the drawings and the other pillars in, but we'll do it a little bit here. We're going to do the inertial plane here, a Gaussian plate here, the way that you think of it, your Gaussian plate here. Your atmosphere and building over your magnetics, I would almost like to make this into a tridome. Remember where your fluids meet. These are fluids and where the temperature is cold enough, it's going to build a dome that's crystalline on its own with materials. And I think instead of this one here, I have it drawn in here. Do you see it? I would I haven't updated it. I really do think that it's more of a tridome that, in other words, is going to, at the tropics, I think, and where you see the separation on there, I think you're going to have at the ceiling, there might be a little bit of archway. So if you think of a triple archway,
right? Okay.
Shown in churches. So in other words, I do definitely think it's crystalline. It would grow crystalline at a cold temperature, and you're going to have just with the atmosphere and the way that the magnets themselves create the field, the toroid, and the shapes around them, their working fields, that's going to have that type of field to it, that is going to have dome-ish at least.
Yeah.
Feedback.
You know, I was in a hot tub in Telluride, Colorado. Here's another one of my hot tub stories. Everything. Yeah, everything for me happens in the hot tub. I've got a million of these, but I was in a hot tub in a snowstorm in Telluride, and it was so interesting how it created this dome that you know, as the steam was rising off the hot tub, it was melting the snow perfectly. So even though it was thick snow, it created like this perfect dome above us, you know.
And if you think of, I'm sorry, my audio's changed
there's a
on the
bad
web
echo.
again. Is it doing it to you guys too?
Yeah, it just it's probably Christian again.
It's probably my old machine that is set up with like virtual audio cables and stuff. And after a while, I think it gets hot, and then maybe it starts like, I don't know, crossing the signal or something like that. But we're gonna get new computers at some point, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
I think
I'll
we're good
try
now.
again. Okay, we'll try again. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to automatically, just like when you talk about the circle of the earth and the things, the sun is going around in an ellipse. It's going to melt things out in a circular pattern by the nature of heat patterns and that, and things are going to form above these patterns in a circular half dome matter. Again, I think it might be a little bit more complicated than one single it could be, but I think it could be like a 3 archway dome, like a single dome that has like a 3 arch top that would work in very nicely with a lot of information too. I am not 100%, I'm not touching that. I'm just seeing how when I model things with the magnetics and add some different things as I'm playing more, how it draws itself out, but I haven't rolled that out. It is going to definitely have a crystalline dome, though, of some type, and you even see like with the projections on that, because a boundary will be made temperature-wise, and it will naturally do itself in that shape. Going along with your planes and along with your other geometry, you're going to have those circles in it because that's how the fields draw. That's how they draw themselves.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this, because you were talking about magical things that happen with like magnets and energy when you change the temperature, for instance. And, you're talking about aspects of the atmosphere that have all kinds of varying gases in them, as well as temperatures. As far as like you understand, if you're in an airplane, you go up, let's say 6 miles, and you're at cruise altitude. Are you you're in cold temperatures at that point, right? You're in
at that point, I'm in cold temperatures and I'm in a jet stream, I'm hoping. You have different layers and they do different things. We have the thermopause where it actually pauses. That's where we've got the balloon set up at. You have it where air goes silent. You have temperatures of heat and cold. We've launched balloons and we were, I've looked at the data going, I don't remember it anymore, but I did look at it coming through as it went up. It went through definitely layers of hot and cold.
Yeah. So in other words, there's no linear thing that is like it keeps getting colder. It actually goes all over the place. It goes cold, then it gets really hot at certain temperatures, and then it gets back to cold. Or that's very odd to me. Like, you don't see a lot of things that have that kind of non-linear aspect to them, that like but you're talking about all different gases, all different pressures and stuff like that. Now, like if you're in an airplane, it could be that people talk about the jet fuel and stuff like it. It could be that at certain things that the airplane kind of quantum locks, like you're in pressures and you're in temperatures where everything happens differently. It doesn't take a lot of energy to keep that jet moving forward, in 7 miles up.
Not jet fuel.
Yeah, not jet fuel.
I think we're going to have areas on the ground and in the air, also with our magnetics and the way our grid locks up, where things can change. Again,
just like how
Bermuda.
you were showing, just like how we were showing the oceans. I mean, we'd have that same thing going in the air, right? It's all just a different density, right?
It's a system in that, and then with the densities we have a lot of things that glow in the air. When you see daylight, you're seeing the air being fluoresced by the UV, not seeing the sun itself at that. Your air lights up around you. It really does.
The noble gases are being activated, right?
They are your noble gases. You're right. They are all around you. All of this stuff is all around you. Dan Dimension does fabulous
yeah,
work
he
with
does.
That. I would do the same work, but my work would be the same as his he's right on. He's spot on with how the atmosphere and the layers are working. And as they, again, get cold, and then again, at some point, you're going to layer off, and it will have to come off. It will do it in the nature of the beast, the way it would create itself. In micro, again, I very much think everything, even though I believe our skies that we're looking at are holographic, which will throw them, I believe they are a natural hologram of exactly how the firmament was described in the Bible and in every literature, the Biford Bridge in Norse. I mean, you can take it to every culture. You can take it to the elves. You can take it to the Celts. You can take it to the Vedics. You can take it to the oldest maps. Will take it on it and build it up. But there are layers when you're talking about, if you'll notice that when I put the Sephiroth in there and did the magnetics and looked how things were interacting, I started drawing the magnetics and reflect them. And again, I wound up with the Sephiroth. The Sephiroth is going to draw itself on the map in two ways, though, and that I don't know people. That's kind of new. Steve Falconer at Space Busters is a pretty sharp dude.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
Me and him send back pictures, but he was the one that showed me, and I said, "Run with it, Steve, because you got it." I'm going to actually I'm going to share again, but before I share again, do you mind if I make a cup of coffee or just take a? Do we have a song, or is it okay to take?
We got a musician. We got a musician on the show.
Christian, will you sing for us, darling? I'm going to take the headphones off, so I won't be hearing for a minute. I'll just be off. Otherwise, I won't do this. But I'm going to walk into the kitchen, which would kick me off air. But I'll be back in a few minutes, and then let me know if you have more questions, and we can go further. But are we having fun? I'm not watching the.
I love it.
I think people are really digging it.
Like, people are digging it in the chat, and you're just awesome laying out the gravy.
Okay, and with Space Masters, I'll show you kind of what, and I'll go to an area that we're going into in the future. I'll take you ahead of time. But it's remarkable if you watch how crystals grow. And I'm looking into dodecahedrons specifically, by the way. But when you look into how the crystals grow, and we're doing the shape, it's a fractal. I can lay out the world, but I can also take a fractal of it and lay it out, and we can see our realm. And it's pretty. It lays out too perfect. It's I think we're onto something, but it could just be me.
No,
I'll be back.
You guys are definitely onto something. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Play that funky music, Hot Tub Man.
So I'll just play something.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out the chat while you're shooting out some designs.
You.
Ginger Bush, what's up? Valley Park.
We'd like to thank you.
What's up? Eric, what's up, brother? Young Love. 60 people here.
We'd like to thank you for being here. Thank you, Cami. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for being here tonight in the MellowDome. It's real information. About the world around us. That's what the MellowDome's all about, just exploring.
And we're streaming at 5 different platforms right now: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Odysee, and DLive.
You're simply the best, better than all the rest, better than anyone I've ever met. And I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you said. Tear us apart. Well, I'd rather be dead. 'Cause you're simply the best. Call you when I need you, my heart's on fire. You come to me wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I need. Give me a world of and a life of dreams. You speak the language of truth like you know what it means. And it can't be wrong. Take my heart, make it stronger. 'Cause you're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone I've ever met. And I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you said. Tear us apart. Well, I'd rather be dead. 'Cause you're simply the best. Cami Knodel, you're simply the best. Awesome Austin, you're simply the best. And everyone in the chat here tonight.
We're all the best, brother. This whole tribe is the best. I love it. I love my tribe.
You guys are the best.
62 people here. You guys are great. This is a lot of fun, man. I'm happy she came on. I was hoping she would come on when I asked her.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
How awesome is that?
A lot, so much information, you know, that her and her husband, just the whole community, like so much stuff I've gained from them. They've given me so much knowledge.
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize how many, because I know I'm not the only one, dude. Like it's like I went to school, like to a real school. You know what I mean? I just like the whole time when I would like binge watched all that Globebusters and stuff. It's just it was liberating to go through all that. You know,
to actually be like talking about real things, you know, like stuff that we can see, witness, repeat, you know, test, and dream about, and real things to fill our brain rather than the fake matrix that's around us. And how awesome is it that we're surrounded by people that say yes to stuff, you know, like honestly, it's just like you and I meeting at Solar Return. It was like just like
it's supposed to happen, bro.
You got any of that? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. You want to do that? Yeah, I do. And I was like, wow, I'm hanging around people that say yes to stuff that, you know, I just, there's so many negative people in the world, and people that are like, oh, I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't, you know, it's not going to work for me and stuff. And then we got people like Cami in the community that are just like, yeah, sure. I'll come on. You know, How great is that? How great is that?
And a lot of people don't know, a lot of her work is like everywhere, you know, and she's done a lot of work in this community that people don't realize it's her work, you know, because she does a lot behind the scenes, you know. And I think it's awesome that she's on Globebusters now. I've always wanted her on Globebusters, and now that she's a part of it, I hope that doesn't end. Because the last couple episodes were the best ones in a while, you know. I mean, I think in getting her perspective and even a female's perspective into the group, because that whole group's awesome, dude. That's one of the, I live for that Sunday. You know what I mean? And now I get it on Wednesdays because I signed up for Rockfin. I had signed up for Rockfin through Globebusters, and now I get a whole extra episode on Wednesdays and stuff. And now we get 2, so it's like, all right.
Yeah, awesome. It's killer, dude. And people are just ramping up, which is awesome. You know, it just like no one's sitting idle in this community. It's like everyone's actively engaged and thinking about like, oh, you know, you got guys like that Flat Fellow that's just like out there making awesome connections and constantly thinking, what can I bring to this community that's unique and it's from my heart, you know? And that's what I
Speaking
love.
of him, he's throwing the he has that variety show coming up in a few days. That's gonna be good.
Cool, dude.
I can't wait to see that. I'm gonna share that around everywhere.
Show. That'll
it's
be
all up from here. That's right. Flat Smack Biblical. What's up, bro?
Y'all, thank you in the chat on the support on the Globebusters. I wonder what's fun about Globebusters is I've popped in over the years, and the shows that I am on are always like the lowest rated shows. Just so you know, as far as the number of views per show.
Statistically,
that can't be right.
Statistically, yeah, no. If you're even to look like all of the shows from the last time I've been on have exceeded in counts from the ones I'm on, and it's really sweet. I've noticed that early on it. Jaron is not on, and my husband is like more comfortable, like with a co-host. I'm really, really happy behind the scenes. I don't mind coming on and talking to people, but I've never wanted to be. My husband is so good with words. He is. I've never wanted, to be. I like it. It's fun that people like you and like the work that you're doing. It feels good. I mean, I can't say I don't like that.
It's probably just YouTube shadow banning your content, right? They're jacking the view count whenever you're on. It's like,
she's dropping too much gravy. Let's lower the numbers.
Gravy. We're gonna have to like throttle this one back. That's what I think.
Oh, that's very, very, very sweet of you. I do want to. I mean, I do know it's a boys' day, and the guys like to chat and that. So I don't ever want to feel like I'm crashing and trying to, the wife bomb. Do you know what I mean?
Think you guys are a great duo. I love it when you're on there too. I like all of you guys. I mean, I've grown to know you guys without ever meeting you, and then I got to meet some of you at Solar Return, and just this whole journey's been great. I don't want it to stop. I don't see it stopping. This community we got is something else for sure.
You and Kaylee are going to be a good dynamic duo when you get your wife on the show.
Dude, I'm trying. she doesn't want to be on camera, but she'll get there.
Too. Yeah, you see how if I'm turning off the camera, it's hard. I mean, I have ADD about it. It's strange.
Right. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm brand new.
And I don't like to sit still. It's hard to sit still, let alone like worry that there's a camera. And then you look at the screen and there you are.
I can't stand my voice. I'm listening back to the other shows. I'm like, oh, my voice, dude. I can't stand it. But this has been great.
And you know what? I love the fact that it's, it's information that's super fun to ponder and to dig your mind into and stuff like that. But it's an environment like the MellowDome. We're just not necessarily banging anyone over the head with it. It just like we could go off on tangents, and to me, like that's all part of the show, just like all the tangents around the content. So it's not necessarily just so focused on a topic where it's just we're gonna grind through this topic. But to me, the tangents and the live interactions with the chat and throwing in some music
fun.
and
great environment.
Yeah, it's super awesome, and it's more about like the vibes with Cami, and I just think she's an amazing. I was gonna say I did a Google search, because I knew all these women that were gonna go and they were gonna have to talk about another female leader that they admired. They were probably going to go on Google and they were going to pull up a list of the most influential women in the world. So I did that. I pulled up a list. I Googled it, and here was this Forbes article on the like 50 or 100 most influential women in the world. And I got to tell you, there was not a lot of joy in the pictures that they were showing of these women. They looked like they were not happy creatures at all, you know. And these are the pictures that they probably put out for their promos, you know, like you know, just stock photos of these people, and they're just like missing something. Like you look at their eyes in the photos and they're just missing a soul or something.
Yeah, I was just about to say, are they missing their soul?
Yeah, you know, all the
that-
people on that list, it's, you know, a
I
bunch
think that's like the goal on this place, is to not give
It
that
is.
shit up, you know?
Yeah.
To disconnect. Yeah.
Right.
If you were to put Cami's picture on this list of 100 women and say, guess what? There's one person on this list that's a truther. Guess who it is? The people would be able to pull out Cami, you know, because
Right.
honestly, there's something in her eyes where there's joy, there's wonderment about the world around her, about the things that she's talking about. She has, you know, just
She has depth. There's no
depth.
shallow, like people, all their thoughts are shallow, but their programming is deep. Everything's shallow. There's no depth to anything. No conversations have depth. It's
Yeah.
just all surface level stuff that doesn't mean anything anymore. And I don't look for that.
Yeah.
You know?
And it really is obvious. Like when you go to Solar Return, you see all these faces that feel like family to you, because it's like, wow, these are the smiling people, the people that are actually can see through the nonsense that is tripping up everyone else around them. And we're not like letting that get to us.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing this. This was great. Sorry, dude.
Look at that. At nighttime, that's really cool on the screen, Cami.
Yeah, that looks so much better at night. Look at that.
Yeah, you can. Hey, Cami, let me ask you this. Have you noticed the change in the colors in the sky and the colors of the sun as we've grown up? Like, did the sun shift from yellow to white for you? Oh, sorry. I think
Whoops,
you're
I'm sorry. I can better now. I took
Yeah.
my mute up. It did shift for me. It was more yellow, and I have always been, I mean, I was the girl that, glamp camper, that we had somewhat out in the country. We had the barbecue deck off of the kitchen, you know, that you'd have the barbecue deck off. I was the one that every night that you could see out, I would take a mattress, an electric blanket, and I slept outside because I had to see the stars. I mean, I've always wanted to see outside. I've always wanted to see the sky. It breaks my heart when people sit there and are just now noticing that the sun and the moon are out in the sky at the same time, because they always have been. That has never changed. They've always been out in perfect time.
right.
And imperfect cycles, imperfect time and marking. I spent going crazy. I also did my workaholic phase where I was looking dead out like the other women that you're talking about. I mean, I tried I did very, very well in my field. I did for what I did.
When you were plugged in.
When I was plugged in.
Was that gems?
Right. If you can imagine this, go ahead and imagine this world, because it was kind of fun. And the thing on it, I was a diamond buyer, among other things, but did diamond buying for a lot of things. So imagine me at the Borsa in New York with all the Hasidic Jews and being the only girl there.
Wow.
So, and imagine them not wanting to work with me. I did not dress like this. I would dress very modestly and business-like and that. But imagine, people not wanting to work with me. But I have an eye. I have pattern recognition is what they would call it, or so in other words, I have a skill set that I can look at something and I don't have to try. I can look at like a diamond face up and I can tell you what every angle is on the stone, exactly how it's cut, what it would recut to. If I have a little gauge in my loop, I can do it all. It's just pattern. It was born into me. Like you can see, I cannot carry a note. I do have genius pattern recognition. So, but with that, it didn't take long for my boss to figure it out. So it was like, no, if you want, you normally, you'd work with the rabbi to sell him the diamonds and the thing, and I'd get budgets of over $1 million or $5 million, and people would jump in on that because I had an eye for diamonds. But being a girl, I was in, even with like a budget here of like 100,000 or a couple 100,000 walking in, people had to work with me that would normally, they were not normally, like, not only was I a female, but I was not even a Jewish girl. It was completely, you had a couple of people that had their wives there that were good at diamonds and that. But I worked for an Orthodox rabbi that took special note of my eye for stones and what I could do, and said, the hell with that. Why am I buying?
Yeah.
I have a little computer, and I do, my head does math too. I'm a backwards girl. So, but he was like, I have a skill set. Plus, they don't even know what to do with her because she's a girl. So they all get flustered around her. She can go in and get whatever she wants and make them. And he was right, because it's like they didn't. 20. This is in the 80s. Think about the early 80s.
Right.
And so it was fun.
Were you in New York at the time?
Yeah, I'd go to New York. I went to the Borsa in Israel. I went to the Borsa in New York. Where they show the Borsa and all the Hasidics. And that's who I for business. I lived in Denver, so I did not hang out at that. But when I traveled, I've been in the cutting factories and in all the different inner communities, and the same in Tel Aviv, because for being like the little Catholic girl or whatever, I don't know. It was just a weird, I had the right skill set. So because I had the right skill set because I was in love with rocks, and I wanted to find a way to get paid to play with rocks all day. And I grew up in a nice, in a family with a decent house and everything. I wanted to get paid decently to play with rocks all day. So it was...
Based on what are diamonds definitely being manipulated as far as their scarcity and like the value, and is it all a scam in there somewhere that we're being told how rare these things are so that we'd buy them for our weddings and all that?
Not near as much as, they were it's a marketing thing, but you really are paying for a rarity. In other words, they really do move over 4 tons of earth to get 1 carat diamond, and that 1 carat diamond isn't dim quality in that. There is definitely, I've known people in the stockpiles. It used to be stockpiled quite a bit. It's not, with the way things move around, there's not as much stockpiling actually as you think there is. That would actually surprise you. We grow them quite well in labs, and right now it's so hard with how well we can grow them in labs, how hard it is as a gemologist. In fact, it used to be, again, a hands-on type of thing. Right now I'm looking at the equipment, and that they do, almost everything now has to go to a professional laboratory. I was in like what I told you I did with diamonds and with buying, and my skill set and gem ID and that. The other thing I did, I did gem ID, meaning that when you wanted to know what was in your ring or whatever, I tested everything. I'm the one that ran all the equipment and would test it based on its properties to say what is what. So you can, put the value on it on that. So
do they put identifying marks on diamonds that
yes,
small devices?
Well, this laboratory grown diamond and a lot of the laboratory grown gems, rubies, emeralds, and that, a lot of the times we the legitimate makers of the synthetics, they put in markers, they put in they put in fluorescent markers and different markers in there. So as a gemologist, you're not having to spend hours with a stone, that you can look at it and say, this is a synthetic and it was grown by this lab, and here's its tag.
Like fingerprint.
Right. So
record.
So a lot of the growers tag their stuff, but remember, the jewelry industry is an industry of deception where people are always trying to grow and fake out and get things through the system. And the way that you really find out that there's a new technique, and I watched this over the times. I started working in the industry in the late 70s, early 80s, I started industry even in high school because it was morphined to McDonald's. So I've watched it go through the different things. So even with the laboratory reports, that when you buy something real, you'll notice that like canary diamonds were extremely, extremely, extremely rare, and you get a few of them. You might see, like, I was in the store I was in, by the way, was just in the news for selling designing Kim Kardashian's last necklace. I worked at a very high end store. As high end as it got in Denver. But with the growing in the laboratories, again, it's to the point that I don't even know where I was going with this. It gets so complicated that with the labs, you will, until the labs figure it out, there will be too many things on the market all of a sudden for nature, and where's it coming from, and why are there too many? So you almost have to backtrack that. Too many big emeralds out on the market. Oh, they have something where they're actually melding emeralds together, and we're not picking it up, and we're marking them as natural. But that's because all of a sudden there's too many high grade emeralds or too many high grade yellow diamonds, or you look for things that spike out on the market and are out there all of a sudden, and it's like, oh, guess what? They found a new way to fool us. And so the first group always makes it through until there's too many things out there, if it makes sense.
Yeah, that does. And Rose was on talking about gold, and when they mine a huge nugget of gold, like boulder size,
like an elbow, like coming. Oh yeah, the car size, and then the ones that were like coming out like it'd be a whole handle underground, but they were only seeing the very top.
Right,
mountain.
And it runs in veins.
In the veins.
Yeah, it runs in veins. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want my thoughts on this as we step off camera a second? My thoughts on this is the gold veins in that, and gold is a conductor, and the silver is a conductor, and all of this stuff is very, very real. We are one of the reasons I'm hiding the shapes and the buildings and everything disappearing is we are. Energy is given freely, and it was given out to us in the secrets, and not in the buildings. And that it's taken away, and we're turned into slaves on it. But if you were really going to be as evil as, if there was really, really a vile planet, if there really was a devil, if there really was Satan, what would you do? You wouldn't only want to slave the people, but you would want to slave the people and have them what? Destroy the mother, or the land, or the earth, and take what was given freely, which was beauty, what grows, all of our beautiful things that grow, everything that works. Energy is free, and they stole it from us, and in return what they have us doing is mining and raping and destroying the circulatory system, the electricals, the way our world works. We're destroying it in order to get us to be slaves, sell our soul for something that's given very freely. And if you ask me why they don't tell us, or why they say the world is a globe too, that is, again, if we understood how it really worked, we would understand God, we would understand energy is already there, it's free. You can't build it into the buildings or churches or anything. You can pick up out of the air. It's there for us. Of course, they got rid of Tesla and his stuff. We are slaves to energy. I mean, that is number one slavedom. The oil prices and the whole slave system revolves around it. And what more of a bonus, not only can we be slaves, but what more of a bonus is think of the world, the movie Avatar.
Yep.
And think of the mother in that. That really is more what it's like, and that is what we are doing. We are, the earth itself is living itself, and we are
on a symbiote, or we're in a living, breathing ecosystem. Like, it's all connected. It's all like, we can't even leave this place. We can't live outside of this.
We're part of the system. Our electricals are part of the systems. If you look out carefully at the trees, you can see the electricity and that forming. I don't know if electricity is the right word, but I see it. I see the energy.
Well, we couldn't even see without electricity. We wouldn't even be able to see.
Our eyes wouldn't function, or our muscles would not go. every
Our
part
heart
of us.
wouldn't beat.
Our
nothing.
heart wouldn't beat. Nothing would do that. So first of all, we wouldn't be able to perceive. But even when you look on there, you can, if you look a little bit deeper, you can pick up like the connection between everything. Everything is connected. The trees, the animals, the rocks, they love it when you pick it up and polish and adore rocks. They give good energy back. Guess what? They're not sentient that they're going to have a conversation back and forth with you, but I believe they know more than you. And
Wow.
the energy they can put out is somewhat amazing.
You crack open one of those geodes and you see all the radiance coming out of there, and the ability to I mean, it's like circuitry, high advanced circuitry going on in there.
It is.
You know? And
it's not like it is.
You mentioned the gold veins, and I never really even thought about if you think about the plane that we're on, and these gold veins going through, carrying the energy through,
the electricity,
you know,
right.
grounding everything with these veins that are there to just carry the energy further down, you know.
Biblical is right, by the way.
What's
that? L electric, L helium, L electric. It's all part of the same base. I'm sorry, I'm playing with the chat. You put it on there.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is an amazing thing. And you know, you think about when you actually feel the earth under your feet, it's pretty magical. And you know, it all kind of gets taken away when you put on shoes and stuff like that. You know, it's like
rubber soles especially.
Yeah, your connection is lost, but you can totally feel when there is a connection that is made in your garden or whatever. You can just feel the energy flowing through you so much better than if you're walking around pavement or something like that, you know.
Right, take off your shoes, especially your rubber soles. They're insulators. Ground yourself, put the ground, go step in the river, the water, retouch, relook at what's going on out there, and you'll see what's happening. You'll see it's growing all around you. You'll see even the way that they do this. I know even in Denver that did not get the rain, if they were doing construction and made a pile of dirt and they didn't get back to it for a few months, guess what? There were trees and stuff already growing on that pile of dirt. In a few months, it was covered with growth and that. It's not millions of years. It's like that.
Yeah, we're finding out with these natural disasters that's going on just 30 years ago and stuff, and we're seeing things that they're claiming is taking millions of years.
Well, so going back to your question, Christian, I'm going to take this because we're booming again, but I was going to say that with diamonds and their rarity, and the same with gold, you really do have to move a lot. There is some value and there is more expenses behind it even than you can imagine, as far as insurance, shipping, different things, again, that come into play with the industry and that. But I do believe that the reason for the industry and the real evil of the industry is the point of it is for the name of love, and I'm guilty, for the name of love, we're raping the earth and we're taking and mining, we're ripping up for an asset for something that's given freely. Does that make?
Yeah, that's very well said. And it is par for the course for the satanic forces in this matrix to basically take all of the cycles and things that happen naturally and to pollute them and pretend like they are unnatural and that they're the ones controlling them. And it's just amazing how the world around us has been hijacked by fakes and frauds and deceptions that we're born into, and they just get fed to us from day one. You got a question here. What's your favorite gemstone or crystal, from Melanie Moran?
Oh, that is so hard. I love so many of them. I really do. I mean, every day it changes. I've held a lot of the exotics. I've held like a most beautiful piece of Padparashka sapphire that was like holding a sunset, like when you watch David and Collapse It and everything. I held this orangish pink of salmon and sunset sapphire that was big, that like caught everything, and you felt like you were holding a sunset in your eyes. The color looks terrible against my skin tone. And one of the things is that when I can afford it, I generally, or if I love it, I can't generally afford it. Bonita white, I'm in love with sapphires. I'm in love with the mica and the quartz, and that I dig up and do this, the river rock polishing it. That is part of my thing too, is I love the ones that don't cost money as much as the ones that do cost money. Mm-hmm. And my diamond, I was just going to tell you, my diamond has forgiven me because I give it lots of love and say I'm sorry that the earth was. I apologize for what we did. I've made peace with my diamond. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think it's a bad thing to do with the crystals.
I've been doing that with everything since I've literally have been doing that with everything. I'm trying to make sure not to cross any like energy pad. I'm not trying to upset anything. I always try. I've been doing that. Been righting my wrongs with people and things.
Right. And that's important. The diamond that was here, a lot of people have held it in their hands. And if you take it, if you have a diamond, you can see how columnated and perfect they work. Diamonds are amazing as far as their perfection and their lattice structure, crystallization, and conductivity. If you hold this to a piece of ice, it will cut through it faster than a hot knife. It
transfers the energy so easily.
Just like that, and cuts through it. You, again, if you held a hot knife in your hand or your finger just against the diamond, your diamond is going to be more conductively efficient with the heat using in your finger even. Right. So even
it's like an extension of your finger.
It's an extension. It is. So I've even faster, strong. It's not an extension of your finger. It's an augmentation. It takes the energy of your finger and it culminates it like 100,000 times. I don't even know what the number would be. You can work it like a mirror with the diamonds, with the reflections and that. Again, this one has made peace because so many people have held it, loved it, have seen the magic of crystals and the understanding of how they work with it. So, the Bible says if you don't, what does the Bible say? The Bible says if you don't, the Bible says if you don't tell the truth, rocks would cry out what the truth is. That's so true and so funny. And when we were in Greenville, Karen and I, which I have big news for you with Karen B, but Karen and I were in Greenville at a crystal shop, and they would not let us in without muzzles. Yes. Yeah, they would not let us in without muzzles. And we were already in there, and I had my hands
crystals were probably in misery.
I told Karen. Karen was like all upset and crying. It's like, don't worry, honey. I told the crystals the truth, and now they're gonna all cry out.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's true. They're not going to be able to. The people there are going to not be happy with their decision to kick us out because I talked to every rock in there, and I told the rocks the truth, and they are all singing. They are all singing loudly. I hear them. Crazy enough, but I hear the rocks sing. They did cry.
Awesome. That's awesome. They were almost like little captive. Soldiers of captivity in that shop, bad energy surrounding them. And you guys were probably like the only people they saw, like any piece of good energy coming through the door in a long time.
They wanted so badly to go home with us, and we both had money. It was, if you saw the movie Pretty Woman, where she was denied at Rodeo Drive. Like, we have money. Both of us. My husband gave me $300 in care. It's like we have money. We want, so we're so ready for, and we were denied. And but now all of the crystals are crying out. The stones are crying out there, and we found in our backyard, we found some beautiful ones and said, well, I think these ones need adoring. So it was easy enough.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Did you have some other information about Karen you wanted to convey?
Yes, I do. Let me step back because we're getting the echo again. I may have to turn off and
Sorry, that's Christian.
Is that you, Christian? Karen and I were out yesterday checking out the coolest venue ever for Flattoverfest.
All right.
The Shriners.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll be locking in tomorrow, but it's in Spartanburg, so it's about 25 miles from where it is. It is. I wonder if it's a small enough show. Can I bring it? Should I bring it up on here? Yeah.
Sure.
Talk a minute. It has a bowling alley in the basement. Oh my God.
Sorry, did I
Hold
buzz
on.
you?
You're buzzing me on the.
Sorry about that. I hope we're not interrupting their show. They've got Unveiling This Realm. Is that on now?
No, it starts at 9:30, and I think she might be making an announcement about this as well.
All right. What time is it now? Is it almost 9:30?
It's 9:10. We're gonna wrap it up soon.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. I bet she will be doing the. It's Thursday. Okay, yeah. So she is going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I shouldn't.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Oh, how many people are in the chat?
65, yeah.
Take a vote in the chat. Should we or shouldn't we?
Hit 1 if you want to see it. Hit 2 if you don't. Hit 2 if you want to wait till the next show. We can show a little sneak peek.
And everyone here has to go on over to Unveiling This Realm after this.
Absolutely. Hold on, this isn't even the page I want on it. I need to find another one to see the pictures. Drives me crazy. They have a very, very lovely website, but it's hard to, well, you guys can watch me. I'm going to share screen and darn, hold on. Such a bad driver.
Some people want to wait.
Some people want to wait. Maybe we should wait and have her do it.
Yeah,
the hints of it is a really, really good venue. It's within walking distance of 2 hotels, but the venue itself has a room for presentations on it. It has an attached restaurant, bar. It has a downstairs that has pool tables, skee ball, and bowling alleys, multiple bars. We have audio set up for, in other words, you can walk in and outside. You can walk outside onto Dunbar Street or wherever where it's all closed off and flat smack the public, or that you're right in the middle of downtown in the hub of Spartanburg and their busiest thing on it. The restaurant, again, is real casual, good. The same with the bar food, lovely thing. But the rooms, they have a perfect setup for the rooms, and we have it available for like a whole weekend. She's going to make it even better, but the venue is really, really, really like perfect for us. Like it could not be more perfect for us. That you have something for everyone as far as on day 2 when we have them again on the music, and that you can your food is right there, your drinks are right there, everybody is right there. You don't have to leave the building to go anywhere. When the speaking is done at night, there's a bar and you can sit at the bar, hang out. If you have to, play a little bit of skee ball, or there's 8 lanes. If you had to like bowl a little, they're cute little, it's really.
I'm excited, man. When she put, I forgot what show we were watching, but she was in the chat and she dropped the dates, and I put them. I put it on the Flat Earth Sun Moon Zodiac Clock app. I put it on the timer. The dates.
The 23rd and the 24th.
If I remember right.
Of October. No, I remember right because I've made the reservations today.
And that's what I put in. Yeah, I can't fucking wait. I can't wait. This will be my first Flattober. I can't wait.
You guys sure you don't want to peek on it? Because I think, well.
Go ahead.
I think I found, damn it. Why can't I find pics on it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, let's do this one. We're going to share and see what we get on this page. StreamYard, hold on. Sorry, people, I have multiple screens on and flunk at it.
It's all good. This was a great show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cami, for being on.
Thank you for having me. And I can't find, maybe I'm not meant to share because I can't find my stream. Oh, there it is. It's like I can't. I have all of these tabs open now. And where did you go? But here, let's say share.
Family reunion for sure.
And okay.
Oh, sorry.
Do you see me on there?
Yeah.
No, it does do weddings, mind you, but that's not all it does. It this looks like the fancy, I can do it. It looks like the fancy package, but let's see if we can find some better pictures.
We should try to find a couple that would get married that weekend.
The main room. The main room in the
Haley aren't
speakers room.
legally married yet.
The main room is basically the setup here with the stage, and you can see the pull down screen, and you can seat up to 500 in here.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And again, if you don't decorate at wedding, it does not feel like a wedding. This shows it like set up for a sports center. So in other words, here, this is a better look of the room.
Oh, wow.
Different ways to look at the room setup.
The wood is pretty sweet.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, because you're getting married, dude.
Yeah. Are you getting married? This does not show you. I had better pictures up here. That's just a ballroom that's 4,300 square feet, but you also have the restaurants, the bars, the, again, game room, and all of these things attached just by, again, hallways that we can take over this place.
You said Spartanburg because our hotel
of
room was in Spartanburg for Solar Return.
Perfect. So it will be even, so yeah, probably less for Solar Return. The thing about Spartanburg over Greenville is okay, a couple of different things that Cami voted. I live in Spartanburg, and Spartanburg is cheaper and more fun and not snooty like Greenville. So why we
I noticed that there.
When we were in Greenville and we were denied, the difference is when we were in Spartanburg looking at this, we were in downtown Spartanburg and there were over 50 or 60 people out in where the streets were blocked out between the restaurants, at the ice cream, at the Sunday places, you know, getting Sundays, pizzerias, fun little like hanging out there. Ask me how many people had a mask on outside. Ask me what percentage of the masks were.
What percentage were masked up?
0.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. 0. I need to stop sharing.
Well, that's the place. That's where we need to go then.
The only time we found a mask on is we saw back around the corner, there was a Masonic temple, and it's like, oh, what's that? So we looked in there, and there was a bookstore, and it's like, well, let's go check it out. So we walked a few blocks over, and at the bookstore, she had the one mask saying that masks were like still really important. And then you walked in there and there's this lady with a mask covering from like here to here with her eyes peeking, and it's like, okay, so we're not going to go into the Masonic temple here. I don't have a problem with that. And that was like 2.5 or 3 blocks away, but the whole area of downtown, everybody, they had people there with children in buggies. Everybody was looking at each other, smiling, and everybody was ear to ear. I said, Karen, I want you to look around. And she was like, huh? And I go, no, really look around. And she was like, it's beautiful. I go, no, look at people. How many people do you see? There's like over 40 people, 40, 50. She's like, yeah. I go, how many masks do you see? Count them. I just, oh my God, not one. Not
That's awesome.
One. Greenville,
awesome.
The hotels are cheaper. Then in Greenville, it's friendlier, and they didn't mask up. Spartanburg never had a mask mandate. Greenville did. Spartanburg Greenville is kind of like the one little area of the thing that played rules and regulations where the other places didn't, and Spartanburg is completely anti that. So I don't, again, there is a fabulous place. And the hotels were cheaper than in Greenville, so it's like, why not? And you can walk right there.
Is Spartanburg, is that South Carolina or North?
Yes, it is. It's South Carolina.
Awesome.
It's right. It's 25 minutes up 85 towards Charlotte, up on Highway 85 towards Charlotte. But I mean, it's literally 25 minutes and closer to Charlotte if you're coming in from Charlotte. And not any further for you because you're not going as far. Greenville is further west than Spartanburg. So if you come up from the north, it could be even closer for you coming from Florida.
Shave off like a half an hour, right?
Yeah.
Our goal is to drive there. So if Tommy's going, maybe we can, because he lives in Pensacola. We'll figure something out. My goal is to drive there. I want to drive there this time. And my wife wanted to experience a plane. She's never been in a plane before, so she got that out of the way. So we're gonna try and drive there. We'll see. We're going for sure. You know that.
You do have to come for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're bringing the kids this time.
That'd be sweet.
We like the kids. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I can't wait to just have my son look and see that there's other kids like him that are being taught this. Like he's not alone, you know. He's gonna go and see all these other kids there because I didn't realize there'd be that much kids there. So me and my wife felt bad immediately that we didn't bring them. So we're gonna bring them this time because we pulled them out of school. So they're already, we just want them to have the interaction around kids, and it's going to be great for them to be around kids that are all being taught the same thing. So I love it.
The kids I like better than, the kids, you guys, this is really nice to be on the show with you. If you really want to know why I'm in it, it is for the kids. I enjoy them. They are so bright. They are, when you talk to them, they are sponges. They understand the magnetics, the polarity, the different pieces. They pick it up a lot quicker, especially our children that are not vaccinated and that are so healthy brought up. They're incredible, and they are why I am in Flat Earth and why I am like braving and coming on outside of, again, it used to be on camera, was outside my comfort zone, and I've gotten it over it because guess what? I'm going to be dead soon, but the children aren't going to be, and it's really
they're the future. We gotta pass down everything that we learn and know. It has to be passed down to them. Like they are the future.
They are the future. They are our hope. And right now, everybody feels it about time. The time is coming to make choices, make the right choices, or there will be no future for our children.
Right.
And if that doesn't inspire you to wake up and lose your camera shyness or really look around what's going on, nothing will. Tell your wife, join in. Everybody join in. It's time. It's time.
Right on. It's time. What a great show. This is a great spot to end it. And everyone head on over to Unveiling This Realm. And
9:30.
Yeah. Thank you all in the chat for being here tonight. Thank you, Cami, for being awesome and opening us up to a whole bunch of awesome new knowledge, and for that message at the end about the kids. It is so crazy to think about what they've lost in the past year and how the government narrative has basically squelched their ability to be free like kids are supposed to be. And, I think they can see these things. They can see through a lot of the stuff that's going on here. And they know that something is just not right with the world that they're in. And they need us to be, fighting the battles that they see in front of them. And so
it's our job.
It's our job. Yeah. And I gotta say thank you for coming on this show, saying yes to us, and for that beautiful message. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, thank you guys. And, you know, Cami, I just want to say thank you, you and your husband, you know, just passing down the knowledge to give me so I can give it to them. Like this whole thing, just I've learned so much from you and your husband, and it's mind blowing. And I'm this whole community, everything about it, solar return, Flattoberfest coming up, just everything is this community's everybody's growing, everything is lifting, like everyone's in high vibrations and good spirits. Like this, I don't see anything stopping us. I love it. I love what's happening.
Not happening at all. We are rolling. We're snowballing.
The dome's the limit.
Yes.
That's right.
The dome is the limit. That is true.
All right.
All
right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have an awesome night, Cami, and we'll probably catch you in the Unveiling This Realm if you're heading over there. And
I sure am.
Awesome. Have an awesome night, and thanks again.
Yeah, thank you guys. Much love.
Peace out.
Yo, why they always trying us, bro? Talk about, oh, they want to debate us and shit. You must be joking. Cause these bears you've been poking, boy, they awoken, far from broken, on another level floating. Gotta keep the truth flowing, or you'll be choking, as you quoting all these facts that we've been toting. Because the truth, it's potent, and the globe, it's broken. We are still, ain't no motion. The MellowDome be smoking, so take it back, take it home, hit us up on the phone, cause you don't have to be alone. Welcome to the MellowDome. Flat game, baby.